What is up, everybody? You're live with the Prodigy. It's another great episode of Smack Talk TV. And man, is it a special day. It's a sad day, but it's a special day. This is it. We should be getting Michael Jackson out of his grave. God respect his name, all due respect, but we should be pulling him out of the grave right now because I feel like him right now on this tour that I'm doing right now. This is it tour for now. It's not, goodbye, but it's see you later with everything that's going on with WWE right now. I just need a breather. I just need a break. I feel like I'm kind of losing myself a little bit in this world. I'm going down a rabbit hole, and when you overanalyze something you don't like, it makes you what's the word I'm looking for? It makes you very negative, and I'm starting to get a little tired and burned out of constantly being negative. I want to be positive. I'm a thinker, man. I'm always thinking of new ideas, and I'm not closed minded. I don't like closed minded people, closed minded situations, and I feel like that's what WWE's starting to make me be. And it's time to take a break. As I've stated several times, I plan to go to Survivor Series, SummerSlam, which is in Detroit, August 5th. I plan on going. It's only 4 hours from my house. WWE will have to do something extremely crazy to make me not want to go to this particular event. And I'm gonna tag this up as we go along. But yeah, they got to do something real crazy to make me not want to go to this particular event. And they might, because they made me not like WrestleMania. They made me not want to go to WrestleMania. They made me not want to talk about WrestleMania. I barely talked about it. Like, if my homie Omari and others didn't want to talk about it, I wouldn't have done it. Like, it's just like they've done everything possible to run off everyday people, to run off what we call casuals from watching this show, because it's goddamn ridiculous, to be honest. And I'm starting to run out of words and care with this company. And I'm sorry, I'm talking kind of slow. Excuse me, I'm just getting prepared to get this show going right now. And I'm just interested in so much other stuff. Interested in music. I'm interested in art. I'm interested in politics. I'm interested in everything but wrestling, basically. That's the short end of this stick. And this is it. RIP 1993 to 2023 with WWE. And it's the death of star power. And I put these people on this thumbnail very deliberately. And these are people why that I'm stopping to watch, because they're not pushing this. And of course, it's not exclusive to them. It's others. It's concepts. I try not to get the thumbnail too overbearing looking. There was other stuff I could have put up here, but this is kind of what worked. It usually takes me over an hour to make thumbnails because I'm switching stuff in and out. So I go what makes the most sense. I try to make them bold. People think you got to overthink to make a thumbnail. It don't got to be flashy, lights up. No, just something that's bold and make a statement of what you're talking about. And that's what we got going right here. And WWE are being dummies. Yeah. Speaking of which, on the far left of the thumbnail, let's start off with LA Knight. How grossly misused. This is a veteran that's been traveling the wrestling world over 17 years. I remember the first day I saw this guy, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, which is in Northern California, Central California, it's in San Diego. And I heard him speak, and I was like, holy crap, this dude is a second coming of 1990s heel wrestlers like The Rock, like Sting, like Hogan, like Flair. He had that flair, so to speak, when he spoke. You believed everything he said, and he's chiseled to the gills, good-looking guy. Women like him, men like him, and that's what you want with superstars. You want people that everybody can relate to. That's why Jeff Hardy is so good. That's why RVD is so legendary. That's why Rey Mysterio is so legendary. They are relatable to all demographics, and this is something that this LA Knight, even when he come out, the name is not the best. They spell it stupid with the K like medieval times, even though it should be Nite, because they're going for he's the life of the party. He's the chatty, popular promoter. That's what they're going for. Why not spell his name? And LA Knight is the first person that I can nail how WWE just don't pay attention to details. Why not put TTE in his name? And Omari just joined us. Put TTE in the guy's name like this so you can brand it. Because I understand from a business perspective. Don't get me wrong. I am not being ignorant. I understand that WWE likes to trademark things. They try to stay away from things they cannot put a price tag on, that they cannot redistribute or sell. I understand that. However, spelling his name with a K is nonsensical because people associate things and words with their brain. The minute somebody has a name, they label you with that. That's like if my name was N-word number 23. Like, people not gonna take me serious, or I'm black guy, or thug or gangster. Like, even politics got these code words. They say thug, they're talking about black people. We know these things exist. When they say dirty or bad content, they're talking about Africa. It's word association, and that's something that WWE don't understand with talent. You cannot give them dumb names. It's something called DOA, dead on arrival, or damaged goods. You automatically sack them when you give them bad names. And this is something I don't understand. Omari, man, what's causing all this from the Midwest? My fellow Midwest brother, man, the top dog, Omari up in here. That's becoming one of my favorite people to host the show. What's up, son? What's causing all this, man?
Shit, nothing much. Just chilling. That's some
Air horns in the building. We got to bring them in the right way. Air horns, man. What up?
Shit,
Omari in the building, man.
Just
yes, indeed. Not
off.
Much.
Just trying to.
I see you with the politics, right?
Well, just in general.
Right.
I like pissing off, whether it be some conservatives, I like pissing off liberals. I like pissing off 90s kids. I like pissing off 80s kids.
You just like to stir things up, huh? That's what you're telling me. Ain't no wrong with that. With the in doses, I can do that. As long as it's not overbearing, I can do that. I do it when people deserve it. I'm not always. I don't care or have the energy or like if you want to be dumb, like go ahead. You know what I mean? If you don't want to keep learning or educating and bettering yourself and elevating, I don't have time for people like that. Like every once in a while, I'll get a tip with them, but I'm so busy, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes I just don't have the time. But don't get me wrong. It's times where you'll see me. I got a full timeline. I'm just going at it with schmarks. And there's a couple guys the other day that tried to make me look slow, or it was particularly in the realm of wrestling when they were saying. One guy was saying, I put up something about almost. So he was like, he put thumbs down, like trying to make sense. I didn't know what I was talking about. I don't have a good eye for talent. And I'm like, dude, you just want to see people forearm each other for 35 minutes with no consequence, no reason. And a lot of them look like Johnny Gargano. He didn't respond because I was right. Now, every once in a while, you get one of those assholes that try to insist that, oh, you don't know anything and blah, blah. And I usually try to ask them a question to trap them that they can't get out of. And to some of their credit, they keep going and going. But this guy, he tapped out pretty quickly. So it's a lot of them out there. And I know you saw this, Omari, where Triple H was getting death threats and stuff like that from these fans because they was upset that Cody Rhodes didn't walk out of WrestleMania with that belt. And like, this is what you get, Triple H, for catering to these psychos. What do you think about that, though, Omari?
What's up? Well, I was gonna say that most of the time that the stuff I be saying, I actually mean it. But there be times, but there be sometimes I just troll because with 90s kids, it's easy, like, because they're millennials, right? And they get so butthurt about it.
Late 90s, yeah.
Well, not even just the late 90s, just in general. You tell them their decade's overrated, they'll be ready to go at you. I remember a year ago, it was this guy, I think his name was Brad. I think we was on Discord or Twitter. I said the 90s was overrated. He got so mad. He was calling me gay, said my opinion's gay.
That's hilarious. Yeah, you know what? I ain't gonna lie. I'm take a step back. Some of them are like that. I'm not, and my friends aren't. We were born in the early 90s. We're not like that. But it is people in the
90s. I don't have
I know you just trolling when you say that.
Well, no. Let me say this though. I do think it's an overrated decade, but that doesn't mean I think it's bad. In fact, I think it was great. I just think people get carried away when they say it was the greatest time to be alive. It's like, hold on, you got to slow down a minute. I don't know about that.
I'll give you an example of something I agree with you, particularly with this. I hate how people overrate Tupac. Tupac is so overrated to me. And then people get mad. That's not saying he wasn't great. He was, but he's overrated. Like Michael Jordan fans and Tupac fans, I get into some of the other, and then the third will be wrestling fans. I get into it with some of the most psychotic conversations with those three groups of people all the time. At my barbershop, it's the Tupac and Michael Jordan. Online, it's usually wrestling. These people are some of the most, and then the LGBT. These are some of the most psychotic, passionate, but in passionate in the wrong way, people I've ever met in my life. So I give you that. Specifically, the thing I noticed is Michael Jordan and Tupac are the two biggest overrated things from the 90s. That doesn't mean they weren't great. They obviously were great. However, you cannot say nothing bad about them without people wanting to almost fight you. That's what overrated is.
Exactly. And I just, like, the 90s as a whole, that's a decade. Like, I've said this before, and I will say it again.
Ottawa 20, hello.
It was a great decade, one of the greatest decades in terms of pop culture, arguably the greatest decade that we've ever had for pop culture. But when people want to sit here and try to tell me, oh, it was the greatest time to be alive, like they act like Jesus rose from the dead. That's
okay. Now you got to be very specific, Omari. When you what do you think specifically about the 90s? You think people overrate? Try to be specific.
I think they over like just like overall like the culture of it. You know, like the stuff of it. They had like it was all doom and gloom. Well, I want to say that that's a bad word for it, but they had like it was all perfect. Like think they was like if you talk to like some of these '90s kids, they had like Jesus rose from dead. I was like, okay, it was great. But when you trying to tell me it was the peak of civilization, it's like no, it was not. It was not. It was good. It was even great.
Ottawa 20, are you Canadian? What's up, Victor, my big homies? Ottawa agrees with everybody else. He said the 90s was the greatest decade ever. Now, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, y'all, because this is supposed to be a wrestling. We're going to have an open-ended episode tomorrow when I get off work. I get off at 7. We'll have one around 8, 8:30. We'll do another one. We reversed it this week. Usually I do the wrestling Monday, but I just not feel like talking about wrestling when I got off work. Work was particularly rough yesterday. I was tired from standing. It was an active day at work, so I was fucking tired. I had no interest in talking about wrestling. That's why I pushed it back to today. And then it didn't help that Raw was god awful, and we're gonna talk about that in a second. I figured you was Canadian. What's up, man? Do you know Billy Bob Ambrose by chance? Because he's Canadian. But I want to kind of reel this back. Like I said, we'll have an open-ended conversation about anything tomorrow. I just want this one to focus on wrestling.
I'm gonna stop on this though. I disagree on that. Now,
okay. Make sure, Ottawa, you come back tomorrow and debate Omari tomorrow about this 90s thing. Now, let me ask you something about LA Knight specifically. Now, let's start. I want to be very specific with all of it because I'm serious. This is the last episode I'm talking about wrestling for a while, probably to like SummerSlam. I am dead ass serious. That was just not marketing. I'm serious. Like, I'm taking a break from this shit. And ironically, me and Omari was talking about discussing other stuff. This couldn't have came at a better time. I was already wanting to like kind of like halfway leave anyway. Raw gave me I would say the last 2 Raws and SmackDown past Friday gave me every reason to stop caring about this shit because they didn't even try. This was supposed to be the biggest episodes of Raw. This is a reset because wrestling doesn't have an official offseason. WrestleMania is the hypothetical offseason for a lot of people. It's even been arguments that WrestleMania should be the end of the year. You get wrestlers 3 months off. Or if you can't do that, because I understand there's a lot of business reasons why wrestling can't just stop because it depends so much on travel and they just can't. They get so much money. However, give wrestlers that were in major storyline, for example, like the Usos and Roman Reigns, give them 3 months off. Now, this was a very unique situation. It was no way, without The Rock being available, that nobody was ready unless she was going to put it on Brock again, which a lot of people don't want to see that. Lashley wasn't quite ready. I would have liked to see that, but he wasn't quite ready. Karrion Kross, they didn't do anything to get him ready. LA Knight, who we're discussing now, they didn't do nothing to get him ready. They didn't have anybody. It would have been stupid to put that title on Cody Rhodes. And nobody would have believed it. Yeah, the nerds would have kept clamoring about it. But what do you do for your casuals? You have to have some type of casual. And you having casual does not take away from the hardcore fans. They still can be there. Just stop only catering to them. That's what the problem is.
I've gotten, honestly, to be honest with you, I really don't even, be honest with you, I really don't care who's champion. I don't care if Roman's champion. I don't care if Cody's champion at this point. I've like, the Bloodline story, in my opinion, like with the Sammy stuff, it was good. But now like that Sammy stuff has ended. It's like, yeah.
I'm going to go the opposite with you. I thought it was bad, but I want to hear why you thought it was bad. To me, Sami Zayn shouldn't be anything beyond an Intercontinental Champion. But I want to hear why you thought it was good, though. Go ahead.
I thought the story was good, like Sammy being in like the Bloodline, right? And then like he did everything, trying to become like an official member, and then he turned on Roman. Now he's trying to tell Uso that Roman's manipulating him. It was some kind of good stuff. But after that, and then just being honest with you, I feel like Roman Reigns' title reign is overrated. How long is it? 3-year title reign basically is overrated. Like half of it was trash and boring. But when you get to like the Jey Uso stuff was good. And then what happens after that? You got the Kevin Owens feud, and that was boring.
Right.
It was boring. And then you got the Edge stuff, which was good, but then Daniel Bryan forced himself into the main event, which it was still.
And then he complained. I don't know if you saw it recently. Not to cut you off. He complained about it recently in an interview about how he felt like he shouldn't have been in there. You damn right. So why didn't you say no to Office when they tried to force you, which was likely Shawn Michaels and Triple H? Why didn't you say no? This don't make sense. Give me somebody else to work at the WrestleMania. Let Edge and Roman and that match could have just been spear versus spear. It could have been veteran versus it was a lot of ways you could have. Daniel Bryan screwed up that main event. I forgot what year, the year ago, maybe 2021. It was in the last 2 years. I forgot when. But so much shit runs together in wrestling. That's what it should have been. Like Daniel Bryan, yeah, dude, you shouldn't have got involved with that.
But Yeah, but yeah, you had the Daniel, and then the title reign got boring again until you get to like the Rey Mysterio stuff, and even then that was still kind of boring, even with Rey Mysterio.
The
Then
problem is the universal problem that we have with all this that we connect this topic is the writing is awful. No matter what, it don't matter if they bring back legends, somebody that can do some good acting like a Mysterio. The writing is awful. That's what the universal problem with WWE. They have all of their writers need to be cleaned out, every single one of them. With the exception of me. No, I will even fire Bruce Pritchard at this point. I'm going to keep P.S. Michael Hayes. But everybody except Michael Hayes needs to be fired. They're all washed up, worn down, or just too scared to go up against Triple H.
Yeah, on top of that, Roman Reigns, though, it's like Roman Reigns, like people like if the homie old school Jason comes in later, he will definitely agree with me on this. That Roman Reigns, he's good for this era because there's really no star power.
Right.
So he's like a fish in a small pond, you know that whole saying. Whereas if he was in like the Attitude Era or the Ruthless Aggression era, he would be like mid card at best. And even then, Attitude Era, I'll argue mid card because both gimmicks, whether it be the big dog gimmick or the tribal chief gimmick, those wouldn't have worked in the Attitude Era, especially when he had stuff like Val Venus and the Godfather. And
you said they wouldn't have had what? You wasn't clear when you said they wouldn't have had what?
Like the big dog gimmick and the tribal chief gimmick, both of his gimmicks wouldn't have worked, especially in like 98 and 99.
Oh, I agree. I thought you were saying it wouldn't have worked. I was gonna say I'm gonna go the opposite. It would have, especially if Paul Heyman was involved. The big nucleus of why the Roman Reigns, even though I agree with you, a lot of it sucked, and the points that you mentioned, the time periods, I agree with that. Those parts in different angles that they took with it when it sucked, minus the Jey Uso stuff, it sucked because they didn't have Paul Heyman at the time completely writing everything. The problem is WWE, every single, and even Vince, don't get me wrong, Vince is better than everybody on the Triple H regime, and I mean Vince McMahon. He's better than everybody on the Triple H regime. However, Vince has an ego problem too, where he has this idea. Let's take LA Knight and Karrion Kross in these particular examples. He wants to take characters that are already established, that already do them. That's like taking a popular rapper and changing their style. You're going to mess them up. Like, let them do what they do. That's why they're famous. Just because they come to your company, stop changing what they do. Vince does this shit too. Triple H is just the worst. He do opposite. He'll take your character away and don't give you nothing. Like, you just go out there and show your skills. Like, that's stupid. You have to give them if you're going to change, at least, even though Vince's idea is dumb when he give you a new character, like, for example, with Brodus Clay dancing and shit like that, or trying to get Neville a cape, or what the hell? What's that?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Gonna call your mama. And
yeah. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't horrible, but that, like, come on, dude. That was the best thing you can give them to do. So they're both bad. It's just, I think Triple H is worse. That's all.
The best part
is coming in too.
Naomi Turkin, honestly.
Don't get me wrong. I like Cameron and Naomi. I'm Brodus Clay was a bad example because I thought he was good for the time period. I'm just trying to think of Vince will give you something kiddie and goofy. That Matt Riddle's a better example. Let's go with Riddle. I actually like the Brodus Clay thing, so I'm gonna retract that statement. I like what Brodus Clay, and I'm a big Cameron man. Actually, me and Cameron, Arian Andrews, I'm actually quite cool with her in real life. We follow each other on Instagram. She's a good girl. I love Arian Andrews. She's awesome.
Well, I got
Naomi's cool too. What's that?
Reigns stuff. Sorry to cut you off, but
what about the Roman Reigns stuff?
Yeah, even if he had Paul Heyman, it's just that it wouldn't have worked. It's that the Attitude Era, like, it's too flashy for you. It's like
no, Paul Heyman created the Attitude Era in ECW. The Attitude Era came from ECW.
I wouldn't say that 100%. He like the matches, yeah, it was inspired from the Attitude Era, but like era itself, like the storylines. They got that more from like Springer. And even ECW itself got that more from like Springer. And then like you also have the NWO storyline, which influenced like Russo and Ferrara was what like they pretty much was basing that off, what was popular at the time. Springer, TRL, the new metal, probably even a little bit of grunge, but by that point grunge had died out. But
I will say this, and then we're gonna bring Jason in. I think Paul Heyman created the Attitude Era, but WWE refined it. And I agree with you with the Jerry Springer and all that type of TRL. That's what Vince Russo took. That's why, to me, the two biggest brilliant writers ever in wrestling, with the exception of whoever wrote for Mid-South, is Vince Russo and Paul Heyman. They are the greatest. Bischoff had one good idea. Everybody makes it seem like he did everything. No, he had the NWO. That was pretty much it. And he was a charming guy and all that. But the two most successful writers were Paul Heyman and Vince Russo. They're the direct reason, along with Vince McMahon's money and the Stone Cold Steve Austin and Rock character, why the Attitude Era was so successful. And plus the NWO. OSJ, what's calls now? What's up, man? Sharukan, what's up, dude?
Hey, yo, what's up? How's it going?
Yeah, Top Dog up in here with us too. Yeah, I don't know if you heard him.
Hey, yo, what up, Omari?
What up, bro?
Yes, indeed.
What y'all talking about?
Just talking about how WWE star power is just lacking. We was gonna get into how Raw and SmackDown didn't capitalize on post WrestleMania with the call ups and like everybody talking about the 2.6 million or whatever. I think SmackDown and Raw got a 2.2. What y'all have to understand about that, everybody, see, you're wrong. Triple H was right. No, what you have to understand is people tuned into those shows because it's tradition that it's going to be call-ups after WrestleMania. That did not happen. So those numbers were people, they probably tapered off after the first hour of both shows because they were like, oh, this crap is not going anywhere. And they knew the Triple H announcement was going nowhere. This fool going to come out talking about we having a draft in a couple weeks. What type of announcement is that? Like, I'm happy the draft is happening. Don't get me wrong. But in a couple weeks, that's like you dangling a carrot in front of my face or a stripper getting naked, but you can't touch her. That's dumb. You know, it's just like I knew that wasn't. I mean, it's better than Tony Khan's nonsensical announcements. But come on, Triple H. Go ahead, Omar.
Oh, well, I was gonna say though, like, well, one is that like the star. It's just even like Roman Reigns. Like, I understand what you're saying. Like the Paul, if he had Paul Heyman, he could have gotten. It would have helped him. But like, I don't know about that. It's like, I don't know how the actual audience would have reacted to it. Like,
don't get me wrong, they would have thought he was kind of corny. Roman Reigns would have been like, I'm trying to think of somebody else. He would have been like Big Boss Man probably because he had the tactical outfit. He wasn't that great in the ring. He would have been like a boss man. He probably would have been a mid-carder.
Yeah.
Because he got like relatively average mic skills, and Heyman would have had to talk for him like a lot. Back then, Heyman wasn't very favorable by WWE because he was kind of a pain in the ass as far as writing and editing. He wanted everything to be his way, which is why he was meant to only write for ECW. He's not meant for a corporate world where he has to delegate. That's not Paul Heyman's strength. So, yeah, it wouldn't have been – I think Roman Reigns would have been like a big boss man type character back then. Compared to all the talent that they had, he would have been like boss man. What do you think, OSJ? You think Roman Reigns would have been able to hack it with the big dog character or whatever? I mean, the tribal chief back in the Attitude Era at his peak.
I mean, I think he would have been had a decent spot in the mid card. To be honest with you, I think that back then they probably would have found a way to capitalize on his strengths and kind of hide his weaknesses because they were better at doing that back then. But at the same time, like, yeah, I don't think he'd be anywhere near. Where he is now.
Sure.
Because it's like I told Omari, like I think he's only successful because he's in an era where you got no stars.
Yep. And Omari said that earlier that you said that too. He gave you credit for that. Yep, he said that.
Yeah, appreciate it. But yeah, that's why he held the belts for so long. Because I mean, if he was in the Ruthless Aggression era, even I think he would have held the belts for maybe 3 months max, maybe,
probably.
And that's a stretch.
Yeah, probably.
But I'll tell you this. He definitely wouldn't have held it for a year.
Right. And don't get me wrong, I like long title reigns because I think it's value, and especially when you're trying to build up new stars because you beat somebody. My problem with you know what? Triple H actually don't do a horrible job at this. Even in NXT, he doesn't do a bad job, nor does Shawn Michaels. The issue is they picked the wrong people to put titles. You think Gunther, who knew Gunther before he got to WWE? Nobody knew that guy. Why is he the Intercontinental Champion? Now, don't get me wrong. The Intercontinental title's been bad well before Gunther. But still, he put the title on Gunther. He think Miko Satomura. Don't get me wrong. That woman's tough. She can go. She has intensity. But she doesn't have any relatability to American fans. You cannot put belt. Zoe Starks, good athlete. She can go a little bit. You cannot put belts on people like that. What's that? Omar?
Speaking of Zoe Stark, did you see Loa Vice? She absolutely roasted her on Twitter. She said her ass cheeks make more money than all her paychecks combined.
I saw TWRP mention something about that. Who was she talking to when she said that?
She was roasting Zoe Stark. It was hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Because the problem is with a lot of these characters, Triple H, and this is why a lot of them have nervous break. And Charlotte, I love Charlotte, but she's kind of a little bit from that Triple H, Ric Flair era, even though she's head and shoulders better than a lot of these girls currently wrestling across every brand. But the issue with Charlotte is, and wrestlers like the Zoe Stark situation, that you just mentioned, Triple H build these wrestlers' egos up so much But when somebody else that actually has skill or a discernible eye for, yeah, you don't do that right, that's why they freak out. They want to shut down their Twitters or whatever. Triple H does not prepare these wrestlers for constructive criticism. He don't even teach them a lot of the times what a hard camera is. It's not that important. I like you. I have a hard time believing that Sasha Banks has started wrestling since 2009. Does she look like she's been wrestling that long? According to Wikipedia, she's been wrestling since 2009 in the Northeast indie circuit, Boston and up there. Because she's from that area. Well, no, where's Sasha from? Sasha's from the West Coast, but she grew up in the East Coast. So it does not look like she's been in the ring that long. And I was watching these nerds, these NW, and I don't mean the nerd in a disparaging way. Everybody's a nerd or something. I'm a nerd at but I mean these wrestling there are a different level. They're like psychotic. That's what I mean nerd by them. But I saw them online. Sasha was in a triple threat with these girls in Japan. And they were acting like this was Steamboat Flair from or Steamboat Savage from WrestleMania 3. And I'm looking like, what are y'all looking at? And granted, I only saw about a minute and a half of it. But it was the same. Sasha has gotten slightly better with strikes. But other than that, you would have thought, goddamn, Larry Bird just left off the basketball floor. Because that's how they perceive a lot of this stuff. And I'm looking like, it is no way y'all grew up in an era of great wrestling. If y'all think this is top star, did you see? Now, Trish Stratus is a good female to reference as it relates to a time period where you can track her improvement. Trish Stratus, when she first started off, was eye candy. She was gorgeous. Drop dead fitness model, Canadian. She started off with Albert and Tess's manager. By 2002, she was the women's champion. That is a clearly traceable 2-year improvement. She is the female Rock. And what I mean by that is The Rock was champion within his first 2 years in WWE. Trish Stratus was women's champion in her first 2 years in WWE. That is trackable. Now, if Triple H had it, guess who would have been Trish Stratus? Zoe Stark. That's who would have been Trish Stratus in Triple H's era. Because he don't understand that personality matters. Because he never had one. Other than his trainer, who was a great trainer, Killer Kowalski, giving him that terrorizing character, Triple H has never had any type of character at all. He's always been, I'm a guy that spit water with white and black tights on. Even Bobby Heenan said he liked Triple H, but he thought his presentation was dry. He said this in like 2001 on a great interview that he had with who was that? The guy that started ROH, Weinstein, that dude. But this is the issue with wrestlers now. They're only filtered through Triple. And you would think Triple H or Shawn Michaels would be a little intelligent because Shawn Michaels has had more characters than Triple H. He's been asshole Shawn Michaels. He was Heartbreak Kid. He was Comeback Kid Shawn Michaels from 02 to 07. That's somewhat of a character. It's not a character compared to Rock or Austin, but it's a character more than Triple H. You would think he would be smart. Like, you know what, Hunter? And Road Dogg's a worse example. Road Dogg, believe it or not, was a top 3 merch seller in the Attitude Era, right behind the Rock and Austin. Can y'all believe that?
Yeah, I actually do because a lot of people forget how big DX was at the time, and I was a kid at the time, and you can probably chalk up his success to the group, but at the same time, it's still impressive to be in the top 3.
Yeah,
but he did have the charisma for it. I'm not gonna lie.
Absolutely. When you heard that, you didn't know that guitar riff, that got you out of your seat.
Exactly. We used to do that all the time in school, even though we get in trouble for it.
Yeah, so I used to get in trouble with the suck it chant when I was in like 3rd or 4th grade. I used to do it. Omari and OSJ. What do y'all think? I think WWE another thing. Omari, me and you were talking about this yesterday. 2007, 2018. A lot of people forget Raw was a great year during that time period, and I listed all of the points there. But the first thing I want to focus on, they resurfaced the cruiserweight division. I'm a cruiserweight. When I was training wrestling, I was a cruiserweight. When I first started training wrestling, I was 202. I'm about 210 now, but because I lift heavier now. But what people don't understand is, and this is something that really bothers me about wrestling, a lot of these wrestlers underestimate the ability of cruiserweights. It's nothing wrong with being a cruiserweight if you could be a star. This is why I appreciate people. Rey Mysterio's in the class of. This is why he's one of the few cruiserweights actually that's a legit Hall of Fame. I'm excluding Rey Mysterio. He's the king of the cruiserweights. Not Neville. It's actually Rey Mysterio. Neville, you just named yourself that. But the people I really appreciate that were cruiserweights was Austin Aries, because he had a character, great mouthpiece. Kenny King, a lot of people like Kenny. I like Kenny King, even though he's kind of a longer cruiserweight. Enzo Amore. How the hell did I forget Enzo Amore? Enzo Amore. You can say whatever you want. He is the only person, for people that dislike him, that actually increased the ratings on 205 Live, a show that was designed to fail under the Regal Triple H formula. And that ball, what's that fucking dude? That's the general manager with no personality, Adam Pearce. That they was creative. They was responsible for that too. Vince was like, dude, put Enzo Amore because Leo Rush had heat after the Tennille Dashwood comments, but and then Oscar comments.
Speaking of Enzo,
go ahead.
Speaking of Enzo Amore was one of the last wrestlers I actually liked. I mean, in my opinion, he's the closest that we have seen to a modern day Road Dogg. I mean,
yes, he was.
When him and Big Cass came out, and you heard that SAWFT.
Yeah.
Off, and then he had the crowd chanting along to it.
Did you see the pop that they got when they debuted on Raw? Guess who's in the ring? The Dudleys were in the ring, and they were in San Diego. Like Cass and Enzo are from the East Coast, and they got a pop on the opposite coast. That shows you how over those dudes were. And that shirt, that which one? Certified G, and that Cup of Haters shirt, he stole merch. And he had these phony sexual. Now, I don't take sexual assault lightly. If you doing this stuff, you need to go to jail. However, it was no proof. The case was thrown out, and they still didn't rehire him. That is absolutely nonsensical business, especially when we know people like Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty used to H-bomb women, which is Halcyon, which it's a central nervous depressant that makes you go to sleep. So it's basically a date rape drug. It's clear that they did that. Pat Patterson was like sexually assaulting people. Like, come on, dude. We can't be hypocrites. Everybody got to be charged if going to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, too. Then you got and you can't teach that.
He was a star. And I don't know if y'all saw recently, WWE just trademarked NZO, which Enzo created that. So, Enzo, make sure you get money from that because he was Enzo in WWE. They just trademarked Enzo. So, I wonder is Endeavor about to get him back. And I wonder, if my podcast has something to do about that. Because I've been advocating for this for 2-3 years to get Enzo back. And it's a lot of stuff people don't know. The Hurt Business came from my podcast. I have proof of it. I just got to find it on my Google Drive. I created the Hurt Business. You can believe it or not believe it, people. I know I created it. I literally, me, JoJo, and my other host, Jason, not OSJ, but my other Jason, we were talking about this back when we were on Haps TV, that WWE needs to bring back what was originally called the Beatdown Clan. It was Samoa Joe, MVP, Bobby Lashley. Who else was in that group? Homicide and Low Key. But they reduced it. I'm like, all those people not available, so put people in there. MVP needs to be the leader. I kid you guys not. If I'm lying right now, God can strike me down. That was on TV like 2 weeks later. Who do you think they got that from? It is no coincidence that was literally on TV right after I mentioned it. Victor probably can tell you because he might have been on that podcast. I created the Hurt Business. They don't want to give me credit for it, but it came from me. I didn't come up with that silly name. I would have called it something way cooler than that. But the idea, the pieces I put together with the Hurt Business, they got it from my podcast. And I already know Tommy Dreamer, who works office for WWE, Mark Henry, and Bruce Pitcher have burner accounts they list on my podcast. I know because I've checked and I verified it. Like, I don't know who y'all think y'all be dealing with sometimes, but I do thorough research. They got that from me. And if Enzo get rehired, they got that from me too. But not to toot my own horn, but I'm just saying, I know when I have good ideas and other people.
People forget that. People seem to forget that Enzo and Cass, if you want to be honest, they were the most over thing in 2017. Let's be honest.
Them and Kurt Angle's return, yes.
I still can't believe they dropped the ball on that, man.
That Triple H didn't like it. They say he was loud on the bus. The story came out that Roman Reigns threw him off the bus. And don't get me wrong, Enzo can be abrasive if he's not checked. But the issue is that's when you have somebody smart say, like a Road Dogg, for example. Hey, Enzo, dude, we know you're a star, but you got to chill out, man. If you really want to make money here, you have to. We know you're good. We know you wrote all your promos, but you have to be professional. And Enzo is willing to listen because Vince tutored him like Dusty tutored Enzo. If it was not for Dusty, Enzo wouldn't have been on NXT. Triple H did not want him on NXT because Triple H hates anybody with charisma because in his little mind, he perceived that as arrogance. No, it's called star power. All stars have a little bit of an ego. You have to give them wiggle room. Now, when they go too far off the edge, that's when you pull them back. But you have to let stars be stars. Can you imagine The Rock if The Rock wasn't The Rock? He would just be, he'll be like an athletic. He'll be like Roman Reigns probably. He'll be another athletic Samoan. That's it.
Yeah, he'd just be Rocky Maivia.
Exactly. With the Chia Pet hairstyle. He would not be anything special. And Triple H and Shawn Michaels tried to stop that. And for anybody that don't think Shawn Michaels and Triple H tried to bury him, go look at the unofficial first episode of SmackDown when Shawn Michaels had the little short song and he was the guest referee in that match. Did he not kick the shit out of The Rock? And ever since then, The Rock never wanted to work with him. Well, that's an older reason why. When Shawn Michaels was younger, I got clips and tapes of Shawn Michaels when he was 19 with regular blue tights in Mid-South Wrestling. That's where he started. I got tapes upstairs of him. Shawn Michaels, when he was younger, they had the territories. The Rock's grandmother used to run the Hawaii territory. Shawn Michaels used to be a pain in the ass back then. He disrespected The Rock's grandmother. The Rock said, I will never work with him. That's why it never happened. Then later on, when he got famous, because they didn't expect him to make it to the main roster, and Shawn Michaels, they politicked, and he was like, nope, I'm done with y'all. This is the second strike. I'm done. That's why they never wrestled each other, because he knew how he was. And Triple H tried to stop John Cena and The Rock being on. Imagine how awful wrestling would have been without those two people. We would have been watching WCW Saturday night. Like, that's what wrestling would have been. And that's what Triple H, in his mind, that's what NXT is. WCW Saturday night. These characters with no charisma. You got to do Dave Taylor's NXT. And nothing wrong with Dave Taylor, because he's way better than these British people now, especially him and William Regal. That random resurgence they had in 2006, that ladder match they had with London and Kendrick and all. Who would have thought they would have did that? That was a great match from Armageddon 2006. Go out of y'all way, everybody here, to watch that when y'all get a chance. It's on Peacock. It was a great.
I remember.
That's the one when Joey Mercury got his face busted.
Yeah, besides,
I remember that. Actually, that kind of reminds me too. See, that's what I miss about pay-per-views. We got surprises on that night. We don't get that on pay-per-views anymore. Like, we didn't expect to have two teams added. We didn't even expect to have a ladder match. So
nope.
It's things like that I miss.
Yep. And if you do get a surprise now, it's not one you want. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's something bad usually. Like do you know? Speaking of surprises, do you know Triple H took LA Knight and Bobby Lashley off WrestleMania?
What?
He took. They were scheduled to be at 39. He took them off the card. Oh, we don't have time for that. But we got Seth Rollins in the match. We got this thrown together random tag team with Strowman and Ricochet. I don't mind them individually. I actually love Ricochet and Strowman individually. But as a tag team, other than them being bald headed and bearded, why are they a tag team? And you know that's a joke back. Oh, they're bald and bearded. Put them in a tag team. I'm pretty sure that was a 5-second conversation how they became a tag team. That it was no thought put into that. And they've been doing a decent job because I've seen some of their matches. However, nobody cares about tag team matches. Unless you're the Usos, nobody cares about. And the Bucks, I'll give them their credit. They got their little steam in the AEW and all that. If you're not one of those teams, nobody cares about you on mainstream television wrestling. Nobody does. These marks say, oh, generic wrestler from MLW. Nobody knows on MLW. They do not have a TV deal on a reputable TV station. Get out of here with that. New Japan cannot even beat WOW. WOW has a TV deal in NJPW don't. Stop saying these are reputable companies. You have to be on television in the United States. It's a large market. Any other sports franchise knows this. The NFL knows this. The MLB knows this. The UFC knows this. The NBA, every organization knows you have to be on American television. That's where all the money and the distribution rights are. That's why these fans, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. I actually know about, I'm friends with TV executives on a lower level. I know people that work at these places. And they're telling WWE, and this is why somebody was talking about Triple H needs to come back. All these WrestleMania and all these dudes. Oh, Triple H needs to come back. Yeah, guess who told? Vince. Guess who told Vince to come back? Endeavor did. You think they're going to do business with Triple H? Triple H can't even make NXT marketable. He lost them $32 million. The evidence is out there. Go Google it. I think Variety did an article on it. He lost NXT 32 with an M million dollars from 2016 to 17. NXT has been a money pit. Why do you think NXT 2.0 was created? You think Vince would have rebranded that if it was making money? Y'all have to start thinking. This is not logical thinking that y'all have. That's why NXT, and you notice he put all them NIL people on there, and then Triple H had the heart. He left. NXT was better, and he came back. You notice it got worse. What is the nucleus here that people keep forgetting? What is the elephant in the room? Is it not Triple H? Y'all have to stop saying it's not Triple H. It is him. It's enough evidence to prove that Triple H is the problem.
Speaking of Triple H, I look back at WrestleMania 39. I did not like that pay-per-view. It's like what they start off with. They started off with that.
Theory and Cena.
Yeah, I hated that match. It's like in my opinion, you should have just found better opponents for one of them. Honestly, you could nobody cares about Edge versus Theory. You should just put Cena and Edge together. Have them have one last match.
They could have. You know what? I ain't gonna say that because you need new starts. Austin Theory was pretty good. He got screwed by Cena in that match, and this is why. I've seen, because I watched this a couple days ago. Cena was not, I don't know, something was off because I was watching it. Not only was he, and I tweeted about this, he was called in spots loud as deaf people could have heard Cena call them spots. They were so loud. He was calling spots so loud. And the second thing was the chemistry was off because Cena was being stubborn. I saw Theory try to push Cena against the ropes, and Cena had in his mind, no, I want to do this particular spot because I'm a wrestler, so I know what to look for because I've been in the ring. And I can tell when somebody's being stubborn. Cena was not one to work with Theory. That's why that match was so choppy if you really look at it, because Cena wanted to have this, and they even corrupted Cena at this point. All these robotic spots, and no, sometimes you have to adjust on the fly. What if somebody get injured? What if the match is starting to look sloppy? A veteran wrestler knows how to adjust on the fly. That's why Eddie Guerrero was so great. You never noticed half the time when he made a mistake. That is why Eddie Guerrero is the greatest all-around wrestler. He's the greatest talker. Well, minus The Rock. But I'm talking about, if we talk about work rate, Eddie Guerrero is the greatest work rate plus mic wrestler ever because he had the intangibles to adjust on the fly when a match was going bad. Most wrestlers today cannot do that, or they're too stubborn to do it. That's why AEW is awful. They got plenty of people over there that got the technical skills, but they don't have ring psychology. How do you expect wrestling to look real with no psychology in it? You have to know how to adjust on the fly. And I was trained by a great wrestler that drilled us in our head. For people that don't know, I was trained by Dr. Tom Pritchard. He is the greatest trainer ever. He trains when Edge comes back and get in ring shape, when The Rock come back, they go to Tom Pritchard School, which is Kane's school. But Kane's name is just on it. He's not there. They just use his mayor status to bring more students to the school. Dr. Tom Pritchard, it's in Knoxville, Tennessee. That's why I was trained at. And Booker T is a great trainer too. They drill that in your head. You have to know how, two things, where the camera is at all times, which is usually on the left side, and how to adjust on the fly. What if your partner gets hurt? What if they can't talk because they got the wind knocked out of them? You have to have body language. You have to know how to adjust. All these wrestlers are awful at that. And you can look at their matches and tell, especially the divas. They're all terrible. They have no ring psychology. And Cena, to get back to the Cena and Theory thing, that's why that match was so bad, because Cena had in his mind, and he was probably out of shape too, and Theory was probably wrestling circles around him, so Cena was probably pissed. So that's why the match was so choppy like that. But I thought it was fine. I thought Theory and Cena going over was fine.
Well, I don't think he just doesn't have it all. Like, honestly, he's just going through the motion. Like, I mean, put him, like, he's Hollywood. But even then, that's not the reason why that's not the reason why I had an issue with the match. I just feel like it was boring. Like, you take all those aside, I feel like you should have just put them against other opponents, like Cena versus LA Knight. I mean, if you don't want to do something,
that would have been cool. But LA Knight would have to come in as the United States champion, though.
Because
I don't want to see Theory going against regular dude at WrestleMania for the U.S. title. No, it has to be a star. True. So either LA Knight has the U.S. title or Theory goes in with the U.S. title. Yeah, you could have had them as a grudge match too, but you might as well put the U.S. title on him, because that's going to be way more relevant than anything Austin Theory does against, let's say, I don't know, Seth Rollins or something like that. Yeah. LA Knight and Cena are much better. LA Knight drugged Bray Wyatt's useless ass through that Royal Rumble match. How does that happen when Bray Wyatt is $1 million star? LA Knight is allegedly a guy from another company, and he walked laps with Bray Wyatt. How? That shows you how talented he is. And Triple H and them don't understand it. I think if LA Knight looked like he had the body of Sami Zayn, he would have been the champion. The problem is he's in good shape, and they don't like that. They want people to, well, he has an ego. How does he have an ego because he's in good shape? I don't understand this. That is the dumbest. That's like a football wide receiver not having speed. Would you draft him to your team? No. How do y'all think? Y'all brains don't work. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jason.
No, I was just going to say, and that's funny coming from the guy who was into bodybuilding. I would think you'd appreciate somebody who actually works out and stays in, top physical condition.
Right.
I mean, at least, what he used to do. I'm not sure if he still does now. Obviously he can't exert himself, but my point is, you want somebody to look like a star. You want somebody to have charisma. I don't get this backwards way of thinking, like, oh, if this guy has charisma, I'm not going to push him. Like, it's the market. You got to make marketable stars. You got to make, you got to push people with charisma. But for some reason, he keeps relying on these work rate guys who have no personality whatsoever. And
I have a theory with this, and it could be a right or wrong. This is what my theory is with this.
Go for it.
A, they're cheaper, because you can't justify paying him a lot of money, even though Triple H plays Johnny Gargano an absurd $500,000. Are you kidding me? Maybe Johnny Gargano, I know he's been there for a while, but Johnny Gargano is not remaking y'all that money. That is such a waste of money. I'd give him maybe $100,000 with a every year performance per diem, which means if you improve, I'll add an extra 100 on top. That's the type of contract you don't give him a half. What incentive does he have to improve when he knows he has a guaranteed $500,000? That is absurd thinking, and that is terrible management skills. You do not give Johnny Gargano a $500,000.
They pay him like he's like Stone Cold or like
exactly. Austin didn't even make that his first 5 years probably. Which he deserved it probably, but they just didn't have the type of sponsors and stuff back then. It is no way Johnny Gargano, because how do you recapture that money? His merch sales is not high. Even if they try to inflate them, only NXT hardcore fans are going to buy that crap. They're talking about Cody Rhodes numbers are high. I would like to see these actual numbers. Cody Rhodes are being bought by the 10% of people that jump from AEW, and the NXT fans are already there. Y'all have to stop talking to people that's trying to sound smart or dumb to smart people. I know how to read numbers. Part of my job, I am a detective at retail stores. I'm a public safety officer. I look at numbers all the time. I stop companies from losing money. That is my job. I know what inflated numbers look like. Get out of here with that. It is no way Cody Rhodes is making that much money. If he was, way more people be watching WWE, and they would not have to comp tickets at pay-per-views. You know how many tickets they had to comp at WrestleMania? That stadium holds about 80,000 people. Let's take a wild guess. About 50% of those tickets were comped. It is no way they sold out WrestleMania in California, as expensive as California is, and with inflation, you are not talking to a fool. They inflated most, or they comped them tickets. I saw tickets for $25 at WrestleMania. Stop.
I'm sure they did it for the Rumble too.
So I'm sorry. What was that?
I said I'm sure they inflated them for the Rumble too.
Absolutely, because that stadium was probably bigger. That Texas stadium, them stadiums. You from Texas, so you know those stadiums are huge in Texas. The Astros Stadium, those are huge stadiums. You have to comp a lot of those tickets. It is no way Cody Rhodes is making that money. I'm sorry.
I get that the brand is like the draw, but at the same time, like with the lack of stars, with the lack of build-up, you can't tell me that these events sold out.
Right. And then they talking about how quick they sold out that quick. You just told on yourself. You basically just said I gave the tickets away for free, because it is no way WrestleMania they ain't sold out in like minutes since Austin then was there. That was real back when Austin then was there, because you couldn't even get tickets to Raw back when Austin was there. If you got tickets to Raw, you was up there like way in the nosebleeds. If you didn't have a whole lot of money and you didn't buy them within probably like the first 2 weeks, you was gonna be in the nosebleeds, because that's how much of a draw Austin was back then.
I gotta disagree on that. To a lesser degree, the Roots Regression era and the Rock Cena feud too. I would say that's the last time they actually had a legit.
Maybe I have to go look at those numbers again. Maybe it probably was, but that wasn't over a sustained amount of period of time. That was for like a little short time period. Like I'm talking about from how long Austin got on top in 97. 96 technically, but he took off in 97. From 97 to 03, you cannot get tickets to Raw at all. That was not happening unless you got them. You had to be like sitting at that slow-ass dial-up internet computer most people had, hoping that nobody made a phone call, because you was screwed if them tickets was gone. That's how much of a draw, and that's the difference between culture. I know you're talking about how the 90s is overrated, and I agree with you on a lot of points. However, back then, you will be mad if your computer shut down when you trying to buy tickets for Raw. Now it's like, whatever, you know what I mean? I'll watch it on YouTube or something, or I'll stand outside the arena until somebody give me a free one. It was a cultural phenomenon back then.
Yeah.
You know. Mm-hmm. WrestleMania 37 took at Raymond James. It did, and that was the pandemic year, so they got screwed.
Yeah, that doesn't. I don't count that.
Yeah, they got screwed.
It's that like using the attitude, like I try like not to use the attitude era as much, because then that's like cheating at this point.
You have to. Well, Ruthless Aggression, they drew some money, depending on what you was talking about. Austin, as a non-active competitor, still sold a lot of merch doing he probably sold a little more because they produced more shirts to make up the fact that he couldn't wrestle. So he probably sold a little more towards the end of his run when he was, doing the stuff with Big Shaw. If he was on the 4-wheeler and all that, he was still selling merch. To this day, localized. I don't know if Jason, do you have a localized Stone Cold shirt that say your city of Texas on it? Your city 360. Do you have one of those?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh man, you gotta grab one of those. You and Omar, y'all gotta grab those, man. I don't have one either.
I did go to Bad Blood in 2003, and yeah, it was a lot of Austin shirts.
Oh man, and I think that's when Nash worked with Triple H in that sale. I think that was around that time.
For y'all,
go ahead.
What do y'all think was the
got a Goldberg shirt that night?
Awesome. Yeah, that had to be awesome. The Goldberg shirt. What was that, Omar?
Who do y'all think were the biggest, like minus like Stone Cold? Who do y'all think were the biggest draws to the Roots merch sales, like tickets and all of that? For me, I have to go Cena, Batista, D-Generation X came back.
Of course. I mean, you probably named a lot of people I was gonna name either way. Some of the divas, I'm sure Trish did well.
Trish did well. I would say Candice Michelle probably like with the GoDaddy.
I'm sure she did well. Yeah. Christy Hemme for a short spell did really good.
You're right, in 2005.
For a really short spell, for like a year, she did well. What y'all have to understand is when the Ashley Mazzaros and the Christy Hemmes and all the main event WrestleMania, WWE look at their overall reach. They don't care about work rate. You can teach anybody to wrestle, and this is going to take us over to Omos. Well, because what people don't, but for shout out to actually because we're both Nigerian. I was talking to Omos earlier. So I actually talk to people online because a lot of people respect my opinion. Y'all don't know because I talk to them in DMs. But I was talking to Omos earlier. But what y'all have to understand about Omos is it don't matter that he can't wrestle. First of all, WWE is trying to break into Africa. You got a guy with basketball experience, so that's more global reach. And they put him with somebody smart like MVP. They already know that giants are always going to appeal to Cal. They don't care that he can't wrestle. The smart thing, luckily, that they started doing is making his matches shorter. This man just worked Brock Lesnar. You know how fat of a check he just got? Almost probably made $500,000 in that one match working, and he lost, and he still made $500,000. They don't care that he can't. Almost is going to make more money in like a month than Gunther will ever make. Even though if Triple H try to inflate Gunther's paycheck, he's still going to make more money than him. Because from that one match he worked with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania in a large market like California, y'all have to start using y'all head. Wrestling it hasn't sold. Wrestling didn't sell back when everybody was good at it, back in the 70s and 80s, when everybody in NWA was a great wrestler. It didn't sell back then. What makes you think it's going to sell now when it's less popular? That makes absolutely no sense.
In my opinion, the top 3 things you like a wrestler should strive for, is being selling tickets, getting people to react to you, whether they're booing you or cheering you. Selling merch. I know some people don't like the merch argument. I mean,
merch. Anybody that don't like the merch argument, I would never respect their argument. How is merch? WWE is a marketing company. Come on, dude. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Omar. That is dumb if you don't think marketing is important.
Because usually when I talk to people, like they'll say like, oh, well, when I'm talking to people, like Austin or Cena saying how they sold merch, or even Hogan, like they're big draws because they sold lots of merch. They be like, oh, well, what about the ratings? It's like, I do agree with the people when, like, I agree ratings matter, but at certain points there is certain things that outweighs ratings. You can to me, if being a draw is a people on the outside world, if everyday people know who you are.
Right.
It's not ratings. Like, I don't know why people always use ratings when they're determined if somebody's not.
And ratings is not even a good argument, not to cut you off, but because the ratings suck now. Like, why even bother even trying? That's like showing somebody that, oh, I'm not a good fighter and I'm gonna throw the first punch. You just exposed that you're not a good fighter. Like, that's I don't understand the logic of because the problem is, Omari, they always base it off the people that they talk to online. These people don't have a world outside of wrestling and Pornhub. They have 2 tabs open on their computer, porn and wrestling. They have no life outside of that. They don't know anything outside of and eating Taco Bell and fast food. Nothing wrong with Taco Bell because I like Taco Bell. But you get my point. They don't have any basis of comparison because they grew up in an era where everything was handed to them. Like, I don't know if y'all 2 have kids. I don't have children. However, these kids now are spoiled. I barely had a flip phone. I didn't get my first phone until I was like 13. These kids now got iPhones. They like 9, 10. Some of them got the newest iPhone at 13. They have no basis of how to work hard. I'm sorry, what's that?
I didn't get my first phone until I was 14, almost done with middle school. I didn't get my first phone until I was in high school. That's how we were back in the day.
Well, it's different.
I'm younger.
I'm younger.
But you also smarter than most people your age too, Omar.
Well, exactly. Then like when I was in elementary, I was in elementary like the early 2010s to kind of mid 2010s, so I was in the transition from dumb phones to smartphones. So some had smartphones, but it wasn't like how it is nowadays. If that makes sense.
It's worse. These 2000 kids are worse. I would say the kids born from like 03 to now is worse. They all got phones. They get mad when they have to walk out to the curb to get DoorDash. That's how lazy these kids are, dude. They don't want to get exercise. I used to work at a school back in 2017 at a private school because I have credentials to be a teacher too. I used to work at a private school back in 2017. I used to take because I taught science. I used to take the kids outside because true science is outside. Take them outside to the park. They were outside playing what's that game? Minecraft on their phone in Five Nights at Freddy. They didn't even want to get on the swings. That's how technology have programmed these kids. They're so bad, so bad.
That's why I go hard on their parents. If a lot of y'all, well, it's a side tangent, but if everybody wants to know why, I don't know. I go hard on like Generation X and the Millennials. Well, there's a lot of reasons, but kind of stuff like this is why. It's like, and it's the ego. Well, I'm not gonna get into that. It's a topic for another day. But
true, but Gen Z's got to take responsibility. I said Gen Z's got to eventually take responsibility for their actions too.
When they get older, they definitely do.
I agree, but like I agree with that. But like when these other generations want to talk about them being great, it's like no, you're like parenting matters. If you're gonna be great, you got to be good parents. Even then I think they suck for other reasons, but that we'll get to.
You know what? Well, we got to be a little balanced with that because some parents, based off situation, they could be a single parent, male or female. It's not all women. They want you thinking this, but it's a lot of single male parents too. Well, what people have to understand is they try as hard as they can. It doesn't help that jobs pay you like crap. And yes, people could be a little more responsible at when they have kids engaged that better. Can I afford a kid at this moment? Yeah, that's a factor. But it doesn't help that society doesn't always have answers. Like they just give you the kid. They don't give you a manual. A lot of parenting is thinking on the fly sometimes. So, yeah, it's a lot of bad parents out there, but it's also a lot of our systems need to be better. And that's why I'm going into politics. I want to be a city councilman at some point because I'm getting tired of all this crap that's going on, senseless murders and all type of, it's just ridiculous. So smarter people need to get, I'm a person of when you know better, you do better. So I can get mad at these old people all day. Oh, when you get old, you get relaxed and they want to enjoy their money, their retirement. They're not thinking about stuff they were thinking about when they were 15 and 20 years old. So I understand that. All I ask is y'all stay out of the way when I try to do something because I don't like old people that criticize, especially the boomers that you kids are lazy. Now, when they say that, they talking about me and Jason's generation, me and OSJ generation. First of all, stop calling us lazy. Our generation are some of the most hustlers. We came up in an era where you had to do DoorDash and work and go to school. Y'all came up when you could have work at a factory and still pay for a full house. It's not the same comparison. Y'all have to stop doing that. That drives me crazy when they do that.
Bro, the boomers is more. No, you think these kids today is spoiled, which I agree. The boomers had it way better than these kids.
They did. Not that they didn't work for it. They had adversity too, but they did have it good though.
Even then, like today's kids too, a lot of them was lazy, but then also at the same time, a lot of them work for it. And then, in my opinion, they're not they can't really deal as much damage as the boomers. I mean, pretty much they were born into it, but like the boomers did it worse. Like I never want to hear.
It was a symptom of society at the time. A lot of them, everything was doing good because we just won World War II and all that type. So we had all these contracts. It was a product of the time. So I'm not blaming boomers, but they have to be understanding. We also are a product of our time. Times are hard now. We grew up when the recession hit in Obama era. I was a sophomore in high school. Do you know how hard it was for me to get a job when I first got out of high school? Because it was a recession at the time. Mm-hmm. It was so hard for me to get a job. I had to work at Panda Express 12 hours and go to college in Iowa without a car for like 3 months. Then I finally got a car because I was working 12 hours. I saved money. But that was hard. In Iowa, you can't walk nowhere in Iowa. You know what I mean? So they have to understand this stuff.
And too, like about today's generation, that you also have the COVID pandemic, which is worse.
Sure. But you know what? No, it actually isn't. And it's bad from a health standpoint. But from it made it where these kids like, dude, I got a phone. I can talk to my friend. We all got internet. I don't have to worry about going to school. I think it was kind of a mini vacation. It just went too long. If COVID was 3 months, kids would have been happy with that. The problem is when it went a year, then it turned to 2 years. That's when you start getting restless and stuff like that.
Well, not even that. It's that it's not even because of the pandemic. In Biden coming to office, it massively fucked up the economy. Like the economy, if there's one thing Trump deserves credit for. And we're gonna get back to the wrestling.
Giving that money out,
we're gonna get back to wrestling. But if there's one thing Trump deserves credit on, it's that economy. The economy we arguably had the best economy besides like the post World War II boom. That was arguably the best economy that we even
Yeah, Amazon, just as a actual practical number, Amazon made $93 million under Donald Trump. That is an absurd amount of money. Do you know how many people are employed by Amazon in the United States? That is a lot of money. That means they created jobs for people. That is great. People need to stop getting off with this Trump, this orange man bad. Yes, we know he's an asshole. He doesn't have tact. He doesn't use discretion. However, as a pure president, he had a pretty good run compared to other people.
Yeah, I mean, like look at what was happening. I mean, you know, jobs were prospering. The only thing bad was like pop culture. But in my opinion, I'd rather have a really good economy over
Of course, because you can always make pop culture with what we do now with podcasts, or listen to stuff that was better back then. Like that's not something I get hung up on.
Which that's another thing I want to get on is that which is why I don't understand why people don't understand that. It's like just let it die. Just let it die. I mean, like I bet there's a lot of people nowadays for all generations. I bet they'll probably rather have good pop culture over like a good economy.
And that goes back to how Americans it's a lack of value with their thinking. That goes back to millennials. I honestly think a lot of what and I love to talk about this in long form, like tomorrow on a future Wednesday or whatever, Tuesday or Wednesday, pull it what I call the open episodes, which we'll have another episode tomorrow, just discuss random open stuff. Because I like doing this. It's a good refresher when I get off work. It's a good way to unwind. I love doing this and having a cigar. But that's just a symptom of society wants us to be the people that really rule us. They want us to be lazy and defenseless. You notice that's why they're defunding guns. That's why they're trying to defund the police, because I think that's dumb. If you defund the police, what you're going to replace them with? Now, I agree with firing bad cops that make egregious mistakes. Yes, but defunding the police is nonsensical. Yeah. That is going to be anarchy. That's never worked. They tried it in England. It didn't work. They tried it in early American history. It didn't work. That is crazy. You have to have an alternative if you're going to do that, because people aren't disciplined enough to not, follow laws without the police being there. That's crazy. That's crazy. But anyway, let's switch back to wrestling. Now, let's talk about Omos. Now, I'm gonna start with you, OSJ, because you haven't spoken in a while. Do you think it is hope for somebody like Omos under the current WWE system?
Honestly, no, because this guy's an attraction. He's 7 foot tall?
Yeah,
over 7 foot tall. And it's that's the thing. Triple H does not know how to capitalize on people like this.
Right.
He's only going for the work rate. And to me, that's the problem. That's the biggest problem with the industry right now. Is there's no focus on characters or attractions or anything like that. It's just work rate, and it's what's pushing people away from the product.
Sure. You know what?
And I'll give you a good example of that. Not to cut you off or anything, but I seen on the timeline yesterday, because I don't watch Raw. I don't care to watch it, but I seen somebody post the triple threat match, with the women, and somebody was saying that none of them got a reaction, like, at all.
Oh my God. Well, was this live footage from somebody actually at the show?
Well, I don't know for certain if they didn't. I'm assuming they did, since none of the women have charisma. But
sure, wow, that's bad.
Well, and that's the problem, and that's why Raw is getting low ratings, is because none of these people connect with the audience. The hardcore fans don't count.
That's true. The internet, they don't matter. Like, they stop overly focusing on them. Let's go to the overall presentation, Jason, of wrestling. The first of all, the wrestler has to have a look. They have to have an idea of what the character is going to be and a path to put them on. The next thing is the entrance, because wrestling presentations are awful across the board, no matter what show. WWE is the worst, considering the amount of money they got. It is no excuse for this.
Which brings me back to Omos,
Yep, go ahead.
The man's presentation is good. He's a figure that's imposing, 7 foot tall, can destroy anybody.
Yep.
And they're not capitalizing on this.
And they just got rid of his cool theme song, that Shake the Ground. That song he used to come out to up until like last month. That song was all I've been listening to it on repeat for 3 days. I was like, damn, this is a good song. Because most WWE songs, and they're trying to avoid paying people for the rights fees, which is lazy. At least hire somebody that work for you that know how to write music. If you're gonna, I know they had NS for a while. I don't know what happened to NS. He did solid for a while. But that Shake the Ground, they actually got Nigerian vocalists, which I'm Nigerian, so I'm proud of it. Omos is not. I'm Nigerian in America. I was born here, obviously. But Omos is actual Nigerian. That was a great. It was made for him. Big man coming. Shake the ground. I look good. It was talking about all this stuff. It was talking about his pre-date. And then I love the thing with MVP, and I tweeted this out. And the MVP and Omos, shout out to Jordan, Omos, they both liked it, because I said I love how MVP makes He's a great manager. He doesn't get enough credit. He makes almost the presentation. When he comes out, the little details matter. He takes his jacket off for him. He points to him. He directs him. He gets out of his way. That's what a manager do. They make it about the star that they're representing. A good manager doesn't get in the way. Paul Heyman's also great at this, but Paul Heyman always get the praise. MVP is so good. I was like, dude, I was watching this happen back, I think, in December. They had him against Gargano. I think almost, thank God, beat Gargano. That was one of them nights where Vince was probably like, yeah, make fun of him. But he walked out, and I'm looking at almost next to Johnny Gargano, and I'm like, this is a damn travesty. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're going to get Gargano a bunch of offense, and this match is not going to be short. I didn't watch the match, but I watched the entrance as MVP came. He pulled the sweater off for him over his head. He let him go up the stairs. And I love how MVP walks out with the cane, because that's going to get him heat, because people are going to be like, you got hurt 2 years ago. Why you still got the cane? That is heat. That is attention to detail. That goes back to psychology. MVP has great psychology. Him and Omos under my regime, I wouldn't start it now. 2024, Omos will be the world's champion. And keep in mind, Omos is younger than you and I, OSJ. He's younger. He's definitely young. He's a little older than Omari, but he's younger than you. Omos was born in 1994. You have forever to build this guy up. But under Triple H regime, the time is ticking. I'm a bit scared for this man. I'm not going to lie to you, man. Omari, did you have anything you want to say about Omos? Like him, dislike him, any booking or whatever?
Really don't have. Well, I really don't have too much of. I don't have an opinion to modern wrestling other than shitting on him, Diddy. So right. I don't watch.
But let's play hypothetical. What would you do with somebody like Omos?
I would use him like a I would use him like a Andre. Use him like a Bishop. No, use him like
Andre's not bad. Yeah.
Old school Bishop, not the new school Bishop, like where they have him crying like a little bitch. I'll have an old school Bishop. The Bishop. The Bishop from 2003 that was choke slamming people. Like that was
right.
Brock Lesnar off the stage.
Right.
That Bishop needs to be booked like that.
Right. And he does a choke slam for a finish too. He does a choke slam. I did not know this guy was trained. Well, I found out later. He was trained by Kevin Nash, Cassius Ohno, which is a bit of a surprise because Cassius Ohno can move for a big guy. That's a bit strange. He trains Omos. And Undertaker. Those are three people that train Jordan or Omos. But yeah, they just grossly misuse Omos. And the problem is people, he can't wrestle. That's when you keep the match short. A guy like Vince Russo will book the hell out of him because he might have a character because Russo likes characters and stuff, but he will still be dominating people. I would say either Vince Russo or Paul Heyman will have this dude, or Kevin Sullivan, because Kevin Sullivan booked the NWO, which was big dudes. He will have almost crushing dudes. Gargano wouldn't have any big. If you don't want Gargano to lose, don't put him in a ring with him. I will bury Gargano by him, because unless Gargano was going to be booked like Nunzio from the Full-Blooded Italians, which Gargano is actually Italian, why not bring him back as the leader of the new Full-Blooded Italians? That is the only way you could take him seriously. He's too fucking small. And not only that, dude, I don't have a problem with height because I'm only 5'7", 5'8" with shoes, so I'm not that tall. However, at least lift weights. This dude don't look like he know what a weight is. He wait in line for food. That's the only weight he doing. He has no concept of. Adam Cole is just as worse because people are gaga about him. But at least Adam Cole is like 5'10". He's kind of tall. But like, dude, when TSA is making fun of you, did y'all hear the story when TSA made fun of Adam Cole for taking his belt through the airport? Y'all ever hear that story?
Oh yeah.
I never
so
heard this.
They didn't even know he was a wrestler. You know the TSA people that whine you when you go through the airport stuff. OSJ.
Yeah.
Before you get on the plane,
Yeah.
So he got through. You know, you got to take the belt through you, and that's considered. So they saw it going through the conveyor, through the thing, the check, and the metal detector. And they was like, "What is that?" And he was like, "Oh, it's my wrestling belt." They was like, "You a wrestler?" They laughed at him. They did not know who Adam Cole was. For A, and B, they were appalled that he was a wrestler because he doesn't look like one. And at the time, he was the reigning NXT World Champion. Yes. And speaking of which. I'm sorry, what was it?
At this point, just give almost like the Super Cena push. Just have them squash the Garganos out of the world.
Sure. And just hear the nerds just re-online about it. Yeah, I am too. Just like I would love, because I want a refest, because they threaten to shut down Peacock and shut down their accounts. They never do it. And if they do it, it's for like a week. They be right back talking crap when Triple H, because what we have going on right now, and this is something that I really want to get into this episode, even though I didn't have it on my format in front of me. I really want to get this in the episode. One of the biggest things that really killed me and why I'm mainly taking a break from WWE is for the simple fact, It is real backstage issues between Vince McMahon regime and Triple H regime that should be played out on TV, similar to the Shane McMahon, Vince McMahon storyline back at WrestleMania 17. The fact that is not happening really irritates me because they have actual tug of war, like Game of Thrones type backstabbing each other backstage, tug of war for power. Triple H, when Vince give him a little leeway, when Vince not there, yeah, I'm going to book him. I'm going to beat up Corbin. I'm going to beat up, all the Vince. I'm going to beat up Omos. I'm going to beat up. He put out LA Knight. LA Knight lost clean to Cody Rhodes. Why? First of all, from a logical standpoint, less than 3 months ago, you just had LA Knight in one of your feature matches at the Royal Rumble against Bray Wyatt, a top merch seller. What logic does it have to have him be beat clean by the number one contender on Raw? Does that make any sense? This is what the Triple H regime does that really makes me want to buy a ticket, go to where he is, risk going to jail, go backstage, and throw a shoe at his head. The nonsensical shit that this dude books really irritates me so badly. Well, so the point why I consider spending the night in jail because he's so stupid.
I have a theory about why Triple H does this. And a lot of people have said this before, is that Triple H, I feel he does not like. I feel like deep down he does not like the Garganos of the world. He doesn't like all these smart favors. He just does it because he doesn't see them as a threat. Like when we go back to like him and The Rock. The reason why he tried to bury The Rock in the 90s, or he tried to bury like guys like Cena, or
anybody with muscles with charisma, basically.
Yeah, basically. Like they were a threat to him. Because they can become bigger than him. And what happened? Both of those guys, Cena, whoever else he buried, became bigger stars with him. So
sure. Thank God Triple H wasn't in charge of the company at the time, because they wouldn't have been. Now, a more modern, specific story, I love Cafe de Rene. When I have time and it's an interesting clip, I'll listen to Rene Dupree. He's the only podcast outside of my own that I actually take time to go. I don't even listen to my own podcast, but I would say participate in. I don't, once these go up, unless I know it's quality issues, I don't bother. Once it's out there, I leave it alone. But Rene Dupree is a podcast I actually go out of my way to listen to, and sometimes keeping it 100, depending on what they're talking about. Conan's podcast. However, the reason I listen to Rene Dupree's podcast is for the simple fact he's the only podcaster that has balls right now. He'll say when something's bad, he'll put it over when it's good, and he actually tell good stories. Rene Dupree told a story once where randomly at the end of his WWE career, like 2006, 2007, they gave him this random, goofy, like French Renaissance mustache. And he needed a mirror. He was on ECW, rebranded ECW at the time. He needed a mirror to comb his hair and stuff. He said Triple H was in the mirror, ogling over himself, flexing and all that, getting ready for the show. And Rene Dupree, unassuming, went up, hey, Hunter, can I use the mirror with you? Triple H was looking mad. Rene Dupree started combing his beard, his mustache, and his hair. And Triple H got mad and huffed and left because he noticed that Rene Dupree was equally as big as him. How petty are you to do some shit like that? And Rene was like, you noticed me and Triple H never had a segment in the ring with each other. He did not want me in the ring with him because I was bigger than him. Oh, I appeared more muscular than him. This is the guy that people want to run WWE. That guy.
He seems worse than Hogan at this point.
He is worse than Hogan because at least Hogan was a draw. Don't get me wrong, Hogan was a headache, but at least he was a draw. Triple H didn't draw. He didn't draw nearly as much as Hogan drew. Like Cornette said it the best about Triple H. He's the guy that worked with the guy that's over. That is the most applicable statement you can apply to Triple H. That's exactly who Triple H is. Because Triple H, well, I would say with Hogan did irritating stuff like overcomplicated the finish of Sting versus him at 97 in Starrcade. It did not need to be that complicated. You did not have to have Bret Hart come out. Like, dude, just Hogan, you've been on top for a year and a half. Let Sting get a goddamn win, dude. What's the big deal? Like, is it going to really kill you? And then what he did to Savage at World War III, when Savage won, he had to get back in the ring and celebrate. Like, crap like that. Other than that, at least Hogan was a draw. But you know why? And this is why he's my favorite wrestler. I'm wearing his shirt right now. Roddy Piper. I have it on right now. This is what I loved about Piper. Not only was he one of the greatest talkers ever, he inspired many, even The Rock. His footage when The Rock was little, when he was imitating Macho Man Roddy Piper. The reason Piper is so good, not only was he the greatest heel ever, one of the greatest talkers, he was so good because he was the only person that had the balls to tell Hogan, I'm just as big a star as you, and you know I am. That's why Hogan did not beat Piper for 13 years. From 1984 to 1997, Hogan did not beat Piper because Piper knew he could make money off them long term. And Hogan, after a while, with a lot of fight, he was like, okay, I'm a yield. Because he knew Piper was not backing down. That's why in 96, when Piper resurfaced in WCW, that's why that promo was legit. Piper was like, you're going to admit it. You're going to admit that I'm just as big as a Hollywood star as you are. And that's why Hogan's face was like that, because he knew Piper was right. And Piper stood his ground, and he did not let him beat him for 13 years. That's what a champion does.
I'm surprised Randy Savage didn't do that, because he was arguably just as big as Hogan. Well,
he tried, but Hogan was he had a lot of power back then. He did it for a little while, but they'll always say, well, get a belt back to Terry, because that's why Savage hated him. Savage hated him for years because he knew Hogan could have shared that belt. He did everything to get Hogan over. When he did the Macho King, Savage wrote it, and that's my second favorite wrestler from the 80s, by the way. I have a t-shirt of him too. And I dress like with the bandanas. That's where I get the bandana look from Savage. But with Savage, he tried, but he didn't have enough power. He was only 190. They weren't pushing big guys back then. Because honestly, the Honky Tonk Man should have been world champion too. A lot of people don't know. The Honky Tonk Man sold out Madison Square Garden 8 times. Because Kevin Nash tried to say something goofy to him. He said, tell Nash's ass, put his gate receipts against mine any day. I sold out the Garden 8 times. And guess who was against? Macho Man Randy Savage. His first run was against Savage. That showed you how good Savage was. But Honky Tonk Man sold out the Garden 8 times. Nash never sold out the Garden. In podcast with what's that guy from Kayfabe Commentary? Sean Oliver. He was so mad because he knew Honky Tonk was right. And if for people that don't know, guess who got their style from Honky Tonk Man? Another great podcaster and a great wrestler, even though these nerds don't get it, the Disco Inferno. Why do you think he was a draw in WCW for a mid-card? He also wrote for the NWO too. That's why he was in the NWO. Because Scott Hall was like, man, I like your work, man. You can get heat on me. Scott Hall handpicked Disco Inferno to go to the ring with him. So all you know, why was Disco Inferno? Because Scott Hall wanted him there. That's why. Do your research and stop putting out no everything. Y'all saw Watch Wrestling 2016. I'm sorry, what y'all say?
NWO.
No, I was gonna say that kind of reminds me. Yesterday, I seen a post where some smarks were talking about. Oh, well, actually, they say this every day, but the smarks, these younger smarks, they say, "Oh, Disco was never a draw. Disco was never a star." They're basically getting that tweet that Cody Rhodes put out against them. I'm like, right. See, this is how I know y'all weren't around back then. Because if y'all actually were watching WCW like me and TJ were, y'all would know that Disco was a star.
Yep.
Exactly.
Once again, that's why Scott Hall asked him to come to the ring with him. Go ahead, Omar.
I was gonna say by that point, the NWO, they have already added too many members at that point for somebody.
It did get. I think they should have stopped at the Giant. I was okay with DiBiase's kind of the manager, even though they didn't overly need him. They should have had it 5. It should have been the original 3, the Giant and Ted DiBiase. Should have stopped there.
I don't know why Bischoff was in it. It made no, like, why was he in the group?
If anything, Bischoff should have been in. But you know why though? I agree with you. If it was any other body other than Bischoff as like an executive or like a manager person, I wouldn't have put him in there. But the thing with Bischoff is such a natural heel. That's why they put him in there, because Bischoff is not a good babyface GM. He just isn't. They've tried it. It doesn't work. And proof pudding of this, why do you think the early episodes of Raw and the Ruthless Aggression was so good? Guess who was the general manager? Eric Bischoff was. And that's why that was the new Vince versus Stone Cold. But they replaced Vince because Vince went backstage with Eric Bischoff. That's why it was so good. Bischoff actually had heat because people hated him. Not only just the fans, people backstage because of stuff he did to him. So Bischoff is a great heel. That's the only way I make a reserve for that. But other than that, Omar, I would agree with you. They don't need GM, but Bischoff fit because he was a heel in real life. That's why he was so good. Which is why at this point, as much as I dislike Triple H as a GM, he needs to get back in the ring because he's the last credible vestige of attitude, ruthless, aggressive wrestlers. That is it. That's why they had to force him out of retirement to go against Roman Reigns. Dean Ambrose wasn't going to make a good match. Seth Rollins wasn't going to make it. Unless they were going to drag Austin off the couch, what were they going to do? They had to put Triple H in the match. The match wasn't great, but they had to. He was the only star that was left.
I mean, at this point, at this point, who we got left from the Ruthless Aggression era?
Nobody.
I mean, you got Orton, but he's hurt. Edge is part-time brought there. Yeah, you got nobody besides Orton. He's the only full-time guy.
And Orton's not a draw no more. You can't do nothing with Orton no more. Orton been doing the same thing for 10 years. You can't do anything with Randy Orton. Yeah, he needs to be retired by Matt Riddle. That's when he needs to. And I've said this 100 times. They need to have a tag team match with Orton come back if he comes back, because Orton's career might be over with. That back injury is worse than WWE thought. He might not be coming back. But what they need to do is They need to go against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a tag team match. Lose, it needs to be Randy Orton's fault some type of way. And then Matt Riddle needs to get mad and beat the piss out of him. And that start that last run. And you can end it either this year or next year. Don't matter. But this needs to be Randy Orton's last full-time year if he comes back. That's how you do that. And that's how you make Riddle a star. And that transitioned us perfectly into the Endeavor. Matt Riddle is going to be the biggest stars under the Endeavor umbrella because he's a legitimate mixed martial artist and he actually understands how to be a pro wrestler. When he debuted at NXT in I think 2018 or 19, when he KO'd Cassius Ohno in LA and the crowd went crazy, he pinned him in 6 seconds, that's when NXT was like, they might have a chance to make this a good show. He knocked the shit out of Cassius Ohno and pinned him in 6 seconds. They went crazy in LA. I watched that show and I was like, holy shit, this Riddle guy might be good. Because that shows you that Ono and Riddle are smart. Yes, Ono can take a lot better. Chris Hero can take better care of his body and physique for longevity and all that. But that dude has psychology. He's going to be a good coach someday if he's already one. What's that? I know TWRP shits on him, but I like Cassius Ono.
Speaking of Riddle, well, 2 things. I was one about my Riddle. I just want to see a brawl between him and Vince Russo. One time.
Yeah, bro. I pitched once that Russo should be, if Riddle ever turn heel, have Russo as his manager. That'd be hilarious. And they just say, bro, these marks hate me. Yeah, bro. I can see it right now. I'm always writing in my head. And I've ghostwritten stuff for people, so eat a dick. I have done it before. People.
Yeah, and Randy Orton.
I used to ghostwrite for people.
And
still do sometimes.
Stuff, I agree, because like Randy Orton, in my opinion, has they done my boy Randy bad. Like I know he can phone it in.
Yeah.
But like they done my boy Randy bad. It's like as somebody who grew up watching Randy, it's like I do not like how he's been booked these past years. I mean,
sure,
man, like
OSJ, you think Orton can do anything at this point? I think he's done, but what do you think?
I mean, with that injury, and believe me, I know how it feels to have like a sore muscle and all that. Like I know that he's a long way from recovering, so honestly, I think his career is as good as done, And
well, minus the injury, what do you think it last? What's that?
I said,
what about his last 5 years?
What he's going to be able to do. He's going to be limited.
Right. What about you think his last 5 years before he got hurt? Do you think he was coasting? Do you think he was a star? What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like he kind of just lost that main event aura that he used to have for the last 5 years. To me, I think what really hurt him was, I want to say maybe in 2017, that feud with Bray, and then the whole losing to Jinder like 3 times.
Yeah.
I think that's what killed his main event aura, because I noticed he's never been the same since.
Yeah, that's true. He went through a spell where he just had horrible matches with people like Sheamus. So I'm like, dude, you talking about a career killer. Sheamus? Like, come on, man. Go ahead. Well, I'm sorry, what you were saying?
I was going to say, yeah, you know what you reminded me? Yeah, I guess you could trace it back to then, too.
Oh, yeah, right. Because, you can't work with Sheamus. And that's when he had the goofy mohawk and all that. His career was going nowhere. You can't do anything with Sheamus. At that point, what were you? Sheamus is in good shape. He had that one intense moment with Cena where he put him through the table and everybody, holy crap, Sheamus actually won the title. But since 2010, you cannot do nothing with Sheamus. And the fact that he's still relevant 13 years later, I cannot even believe that number just left my mouth. Oh, my God, I'm getting old. 13 years later, that this man is still in the main event. Like, what? Against Gunther, who was also, how did you expect Sheamus to get Gunther and McIntyre over when he's boring? How do you expect McIntyre to get Gunther over when he's boring and limited? Don't get me wrong, McIntyre's in good shape. He looks good. But when it comes to charisma, I would rather watch a sheet of paper. Like that dude, come on, man. You can't do nothing with him. Now, speaking of somebody that has charisma that they've been burying, and he also lost to this clown McIntyre, Karrion Kross. Well, what are you going to say, Omar, before we move on to Karrion Kross?
McIntyre was good, his heel run. And when he did, when he was a face as a champion in 2020, he was good. The problem is WWE ruined him because he should have been he should have been like a Batista type, but they turned him into a Cena type. That was the problem.
Right. You know what? I was gonna disagree with you until you just said that Batista thing. You know what I mean? I was gonna disagree until now you got me thinking. The wheels in my head rolling when you said that.
They made him into a Hogan, a Hulk Hogan Cena type where he should have been type. You can't make him into an Austin Rock type. or even like a basic thugonomics phenotype. I mean, because he just doesn't have that.
That's just not him.
Yeah, he could be a Batista type where he like the
like a beast. Yeah,
the jacked up guy that just comes and beat up people and then like gets the pop from. He could be. That. They didn't do that. Because WWE for some reason always has to go back to that Hulk Hogan formula. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind. I actually like those baby faces. I think
it has to be the right person though.
Yeah, like that's what, and they've been doing that for years.
You gotta have the right charisma.
They've been doing like when Brock Lesnar turned face, they kind of did it with him. When John Cena became the top guy, they did it with him. Now, granted, it I don't know, it was weird with him. It worked and it didn't work. But Roman Reigns, it completely failed, and it took him so long to get over. Did the same thing to Drew McIntyre. They kind of did it to Shawn. That's what that's why Shawn was getting. Well, it was also because he was a prick backstage, and people were starting to find out. But that's why Shawn was getting booed in 96. That's why the NWO. That's why the NWO. One of the reasons why it was as revolutionary as it was because it was different. It wasn't Hulk Hogan style. It was cutting edge at the time, and that's what WWE supposed to realize is that you can't do a Hulk Hogan style gimmick in today's world. Today's world is completely crazy.
People are too cynical and stuff for that. It doesn't happen as much as you. And I agree with a lot of you said. My problem, my main issue with McIntyre is he has a very thick Scottish accent. He needs like a female manager with him, like a hot, like Lana or something, or like who's the other girl, Oksana. He needs like a hot feet because his accent's too thick. That's one thing. And secondly, he's better as a heel. He's not a good babyface. Because for you to be a good babyface, you have to have a good English promo. Like, for example, OSJ is, I'm guessing, bilingual. You speak Spanish, Jason?
Yeah.
Yeah, you speak. Okay. So Jason has a very clear voice for a Mexican person. So he could be a star because he speaks both languages. You cannot have people that don't speak a language, English first, as baby faces because they're not clear. You have to be a clear communicator. It's not about discrimination. It's just I have to be able to understand you. Like Almost is Nigerian. He has a thick. I speak Nigerian, but Almost is Nigerian. He has a thick accent. That's why MVP talks for him. But clearly, I can speak English because I was born in the United States. But this is what you have to understand. And that's another reason with McIntyre. The accent, he needs a manager, and he's only good as a heel. He's not a good babyface. He had a hell of a run as a heel. Even back when he was with Vince, when he was a chosen one, the problem is it was a weak roster at the time. You can't have him beating up R-Truth and expect him to be credible. They had him fighting R-Truth and out-of-shape Matt Hardy in 2009 on SmackDown. He was going nowhere with that stuff. Like, it was nowhere. He didn't have credible opponents. What's that?
I would say his best one was with Morrison at that time, though. I'll give him that.
Morrison. I liked it when he was with Dolph Ziggler. I don't remember him when he was with Morrison. I remember when he was with Dolph Ziggler, though.
Is it when they
he feuded with Morrison for the IC title in late 2009.
Oh, feud. I thought you meant they were like a in a group together. So okay.
Gotcha. No. They had a feud for like a few months. I think he took the title off Morrison in December of 2009 at TLC.
Yeah.
That was actually his first good feud.
I'm glad you remember that because I didn't even remember that. But in my head, I'm sure it was a good feud because Morrison's a great athlete and he can sell. And that's briefly take us back to Almost. That's what you need with people like when you getting somebody over that's kind of green, like a Almost. You got to have somebody that doesn't have an ego that's willing to put a young guy over. You got to have Almost work with people like Brian Kendrick and guys like Mysterio and basically guys that just aren't selfish, that don't mind doing a job, that's small, that's going to bump for them. You cannot have these Ring of Honor entitled douchebags like Johnny Gargano and Gunther's group and Kevin Owens and, dudes like that with this, and they're not going to want to put them over because Triple H has made it okay in their mind to be egotistical because, I was on the Indies for 15, and that's why your body is broken down. That's why Tommaso Ciampa, no matter how pretty good he was for an NXT ROH type guy, he couldn't get any momentum because he was always hurt. Why was he hurt? Because he took apron bumps like an idiot for 15 years in Ring of Honor. That's why he was hurt. You have to stop doing that. When you get to WWE, you get over. That's why Daniel Bryan's career was on the shelf for 3 years or something? when you get over with the yes and all that, whatever you find to get yourself over, whatever your chant is, you have to stop taking big bumps. You have to save it for pay-per-views. You got to deal with the whining crowd that, oh, he don't do that no more. Why do you think Seth Rollins, somebody spoke sense to him and told him to stop doing the Phoenix Splash for 2 reasons? You're going to take the specialness away from it, and it's a risky move. It only takes a second to get hurt because you have to rotate a bunch of times. You have to land on your legs and knees a certain way. You'll get hurt. Do that stuff at pay-per-view. And when he did it to Lesnar that year, the crowd went crazy in 2015 because he stopped doing it for a while. Or like the red arrow. It looks impressive, but only so many times you could do it. Even when you're a cruiserweight, you have to have a personality. That's why Austin Aries eventually got signed by WWE, because he was smart. He stayed the course. He can work heel and babyface, and he had a personality. That's why he had a run, and he main evented the first WrestleMania as a cruiserweight against I think against Neville in Orlando that year in 2017. That's why they got on. They was on the main card too, I think. So this is what the things we have to understand. Let's get to Cross, and I want to finish off with Raw Underground. I got to eat dinner. I try to keep these under 2 hours. I'm gonna get some dinner. So
Scarlett Bordeaux.
What's that?
That Scarlett looking hot as fuck in this photo.
Oh yeah, I purposely. And by the way, Scarlett is from Illinois. She's from where I'm from. She's from Chicago, actually, a suburb. She's from a town called Edgewater. That's like 30 minutes from where I live. She's a good girl. Scarlett's a good friend of mine too. We know each other a bit. I wouldn't say a good friend. I know her though. She's a good girl. Scarlett is someone that's professional. She can work. A lot of people forget that Scarlett can wrestle because she's always with her fiance as a manager, but she can wrestle too. Elizabeth, that's her name. Kaiser.
I think we can beat all. We can beat the merciless punch that nobody's gonna care about this girl wrestling. And when you have a 17-year-old boy today looking at Scarlett, they're not gonna care about her wrestling.
Especially if you saw some of that stuff she wore in Japan and in Impact. Oh my God! Of course, a lot of that she ain't gonna be able to wear in WWE because they kind of PG. But dude, go watch Scarlett when she was in Japan. Go watch her when she was in Mexico. Go watch her when she was in Impact. She used to. What do you think all that smoke stuff in that? Some type of way, lucky bastard, Fala Ba was able to work with her for a little spell and Impact. SJW Yokozuna, Cuck that's what I used to call him, Cuck. He was basically a pussified SJW Yokozuna. He got to work with her. But Scarlett and Conan, to his credit, and fuck you, Johnny Gargano. And I try not to cuss on here, but this is something that legitimately made me mad. Dude, fuck you. You think you could disrespect Conan at the Hall of Fame? And Triple H, shame on you as an executive, as a manager, for allowing this to happen. This is one of millions of reasons why you are ill-equipped and not prepared to be a general manager and do anything for WWE long-term as far as management. Endeavor are not going to do business with you stroking your nose. You let a nobody like Johnny Gargano disrespect Conan, who brought Lucha Wrestling to the United States. How dare you? If I was you, if I was Vince, clean out your damn desk. I would have fired your ass on the spot. That is dumb and unnecessary. You do not disrespect legends that's guests in your company. That is a bad example to set. What do you do when an NIL up-and-coming talent sees that? You just gave them a bad habit to have. I would have fired your ass on the spot. That is the most nonsensical thing I've ever read in my life. And it's true because I checked with the right people. It's confirmed. Triple H actually allowed Johnny Gargano to not shake Conan's hand. And I've been in the wrestling business. It is customary to shake every. Can you imagine if we did that to Undertaker? Undertaker would have knocked his damn head off probably. Or would have told him, get his ass out of here. Luckily, Undertaker probably wasn't there at the moment because he would have checked his ass probably. The lack of disrespect from this entitled nobody. John, what have you done? You haven't sold a ticket, a T-shirt, and I'm not talking about these neck beards that clog up toilets at stadiums, that go to Taco Bell, that got Pornhub and goddamn wrestling all day is the world they live in. I'm talking about normal people. What shirt have you sold? What ticket have you moved? What gives you the right to disrespect Conan? And don't get me wrong, me and Conan's had our squabbles. I've had my arguments with Conan. I know them quite well. I know Joe, their producer, Joe Feeney. I know those dudes over at Keep It 100. How fucking dare you, Johnny Gargano? You're a nobody. If I ever saw you, I would spit in your face because I have no respect for you. And I would never spit on anybody because I respect everybody as a human being. But you're a fucking asshole, you and Triple H. And you're exactly what's wrong with wrestling now. Well, that type of crap is what's wrong with wrestling.
Well, Johnny Gargano on his new wrestling card be like, what's the big deal with Conan? Even though Conan was one of the most popular members of the NWO Wolfpack in '98.
Right.
Over as a mug. And
besides all that, he brought Lucha Wrestling to the United States. The shit that these neck beards jack off to. He brought it here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have nothing to watch and obsess about if it wasn't for Conan. He showed Rey Mysterio and them to Paul Heyman, and that's how they got him. And then Bischoff took him in '97. Then they came to WWE after that in 2002. How dare you, dude?
What's up with these jobbers like Johnny Gargano having like the ego of like like Hogan or like HBK or Cena? It's like you're not on that level.
Triple H enables it. Him and his regime, because he don't want to be criticized. Triple H, what we have to understand, I'm going to calm down. What we have to understand about Triple H is Tony Khan with a suit on, where they both wear suits. He's a muscled up Tony Khan. That's all he is. He's a mark. He gets ideas from Impact. Why are you even watching and considering Impact? They're beneath you. That's like McDonald's watching a hot dog stand. Do you care you think they care about what they're doing? The hot dog stand needs to catch up with McDonald's. What type of business mind do you have? But to answer your question, he enables this type of behavior because he want to be popular with the smart. The same smarts, mind you, that gave him death threats for not letting Cody Rhodes win. These are the people that you cater to. And this is why I'm done with this stuff for like 3-4 months. This is why. Cody Rhodes get beat down by Brock Lesnar. He comes out the next week on Raw like nothing happened. And I'm sure Triple H, it won't matter. They'll forget about it. And Vince probably was busy with Endeavor stuff, and he probably wasn't there to edit it. But I'm pretty sure for all you people that are saying Vince is writing and micromanaging, you have to be a damn fool. If he was, Johnny Gargano wouldn't be on the show. If he was, Bronson Reed women wouldn't be botching all over the show. He lets you know what, Hunter, take care of that. Vince has given Triple H so many opportunities to prove that he can run this company, even while he was gone on that leave because of the sexual allegation. You don't think Vince looked at it as a test? I'm going to see if Triple H can do this. He has failed in every way, and people still want him to run this company. All these neckbeards and all these people on YouTube. Y'all are out of y'all damn minds.
Like the Lex Man, that dude still wants him to run the company. The Lex Man's been anti-Vince every day. It's kind of creepy, really.
It's really weird, dude. Go ahead, Omar.
Well, two things. I was gonna say about that Triple H thing. I feel like honestly, Vince McMahon has been checked out of WWE for like 10 years. I be honest with you, like probably like 2014 was like the last time we had like a true Vince McMahon WWE product.
Probably.
And he's just been checked out because a lot of things that Vince McMahon is against. Now you can say maybe Vince McMahon has gone corporate over the years due to how everything's become. But even then, like Vince McMahon is like this. A lot of this SJW stuff. It's not a Vince McMahon thing.
No. Vince McMahon is a Republican that had to be convinced to let his company go corporate. You think he wanted that to happen? Vince McMahon is a massive control freak. Why would he allow? He knew it was absolute, after the Benoit tragedy and all that, it was absolute paramount that they had to change their corporate image or they would have probably got investigated by the Congress and went out of business. Vince reluctantly did that. We know Vince, he put himself on TV to be God. What? That tells you the type of person Vince is. He doesn't care about what the public thinks about him.
I'm gonna beat up God, pal. I got the
God. He said with a do-rag on to John Cena, "Keep it up, my N-word." He went out to coach and said, "What up, G?" You think Vince cares about what people think about him? Come on, use your brain. Vince McMahon is friends with Donald Trump.
Come
on.
I posted a video. I think I added both y'all on Twitter. Yeah. It was the one with Vince and the do-rag, and it was him, Cena, and HBK. I don't know how HBK and Cena was able to keep a serious face. I would
with the do-rag.
Yeah, he was backstage, and he was like, "Don't." It was this one part he said, "Don't be talking about." Like I think Cena said something about he was a crazy white guy.
Yeah, I remember that segment. Yeah,
and Vince was like, "Don't be talking about my brother's crying time."
It was good TV, and we need to go back. And I honestly think Endeavor is going to give us a little bit of wiggle room. I know we live in SJW Central. Everybody's triggered. They're offended by everything. I think WWE is going to say, screw this. Thank God Disney, NBC, or Comcast didn't buy them because it would have been worse. It would have been WWE sanitized corporate, especially if NBC. Oh, my God. Do you see what they're doing with these TV series now? Imagine what they would have did to WWE.
Now, Disney's worse. Disney's way worse.
Oh, yeah, of course. With what they did with Marvel and yes, it would have been awful. Like, I would say Disney first and then NBC second. They would have been the worst option to buy WWE.
You would have Charlotte Flair, as WWE champion. They would have bought back Stone Cold Steve Austin and cut. Well, he's kind of already a
right. And then they edit all the good content off Peacock now. That shows you how lame NBC is. They don't got the Kai and Tai with the Kung Fu when they was like saying the words and it was off beat. That shit was, they cut it off the ep. That was hilarious. With Edge and Christian when they was doing that. Oh my God. What's that, OSJ?
Oh, that's what he said, though. The word, the kind of thing. Indeed.
Indeed. That was funny. He was like, you will be defeated. They took that off. They took the Trish barking like a dog. And this is why Vince slapped the papers out of that dude's hand at HBO, whoever it was. Because he was like, what you critics don't understand, this is what makes me mad. He was like, if you would have kept watching, you would have saw that I'm going to get mine. And everybody tried to drag Vince. Oh, he's being unprofessional. Dude. They're trying to drag his company, and he's telling them, if you would have watched the show, you see that Vince McMahon gets beat up afterward. You see that Vince McMahon got a legitimate. Vince McMahon, to his credit, has taken one of the biggest, best stink face ever. He allowed Rikishi to put his whole face in his butt. Like, how many wrestlers would do that? Vince McMahon has broken his butt, tore his quads, been hit by chairs for his company. He's not going to let some person that's trying to write a smear piece that don't know anything about wrestling ruin his company, as he has the right to do that. Triple H will let people do anything. Well, I'm gonna give these people press pass and have them ask stupid questions, like Mike Johnston from PWI was trying to ask him about the little cut that Adam Cole had on his back in that cage match with Gargano. And you could tell that dude was reaching for blood. And Triple H, that's your fault. You let him in there to ask those SJW questions. You should have knew he was going to try to bury you, you idiot. What did you think he was going to do? He's trying to sell magazines or newsletters. What did you think he was going to do? That's your fault for not vetting these people properly and knowing that they're marks. And if you're a mark, Sean Ross Sapp, who's aptly named, you're a Sap, all right, releasing these bull crap. Dude, I have inside actual information of actual stuff that happened with WWE. I told you that Rhea Ripley is going to be with the Bloodline. I came up with the Hurt Business stuff. I've told y'all several times about actual news. You know why? Because I know people with actual news sources. Sean Ross Sapp and all these people, Meltzer, he's right when it comes to reporting numbers and all that and holding WWE accountable for those false WrestleMania numbers. But as far as actual breaking news, it's a guy named Billy Body from lockbetting.com, who I'm pretty cool with, who has the actual scoops on wrestling, not these other people. He's been right about everything that's been coming. He told you about the Alexa Bliss stuff 2 years before it happened. That's how you know he's good at what he does. So stop believing all these clown reporters, and Triple H gives them press passes and have them put out bogus news. Cody Rhodes is a draw. I should draw you and throw your ass out the window while I'm at it for this stupid crap you've done to wrestling.
Yo, speaking of Crime Time, I wish we had a tag. I wish we can get them back. I miss Crime Time.
Well, JTG is still available. They need to get him out of purgatory in NWA because he's going nowhere in NWA.
It's not the same without Shad. Man.
It is, yeah, but JTG is entertaining. You know what? I'll put R-Truth with him. I think they'll accept R-Truth being with him in Crime Time. That'll be cool. R-Truth got the acting chops. I miss Shad. Yeah, I agree with you. But to be honest with you, even if he was still living, they had a bone to pick with Shad. He wouldn't have been, because Shad did not take shit from nobody. Tony Atlas talked about, because Tony Atlas was working there when Crime Time was hot. Shad did not take shit from anybody, and that's why they did not give him the opportunity. He was supposed to get a single run on SmackDown as a top heel, and they sent him down to FCW, and Dusty was like, baby, give me him, baby. I turn him to a star. Roman Reigns' first major storyline in FCW when he was Leaki, when he had the grass dress, was against Shad Gaspard. It's on YouTube. Go look. It's there. And it was a great match, and Shad carried the match. That's how good he was. But he did not kiss ass, just like MVP, which is why MVP is not an active wrestler. He decided to be a manager. Luckily, Vince likes him, which is why he's still in the spot. But Lashley, they don't kiss ass, which is why they don't get favoritism. This is why, because when you're a certain ethnic group, they expect you to bow. This even happened with certain Latinos. When you don't kiss ass, they try to bury you. And Shad Gaspard, they tried to tell him he couldn't date white women. And when I tell you, you saw his wife at the Hall of Fame when they put him in the legacy. You saw how bad that woman was? Ooh. They hated that he had beautiful white women that they could not get, so they tried to bury him all the time. That's why Shad, and he publicly, that's why he went to MMA. And sorry, he was successful over there too. That's what Shad got. They wouldn't have never signed him even if he was still alive. He had heat with them. They tried to do the fake, RIP Shad. No, y'all didn't like him. If it wasn't for JTG and all them organized, they wouldn't, and Lillian Garcia, they wouldn't even had that memorial at the beach and all that. They organized it. WWE just didn't want to get bad PR, so they said something about it. You talking to the real. You're not talking to Sean Ross Sapp. I'm going to give you the real news. You're not talking to Mike Johnston and Dave Meltzer. I'm the Prodigy, and that's why I'm the Prodigy. It's not a name. I put work in. That's why I'm the Prodigy. For anybody want to ask, oh, you ain't done nobody. I've broken news. WWE is afraid of me. They stole my ideas and haven't given me credit for them. And I'm going to keep saying it. I got friends in this business. One of my closest friends is Thunder Rosa. If you don't believe me, I interviewed her a couple years ago. Ask about me. I've ghostwritten for people that don't tell you. I know Russo, too. He just don't want to put, bro, you're kind of controversial, bro. Shout out to Vince Russo. I ain't going to get no heat on you, but I know Vince Russo. Ask about me. We got one of the best podcasts because I produce it that way with people like Omari, with Top Dog, with JoJo, with my other Jason. We're the bosses. We grew up when wrestling was great. Well, I'm not going to have some 16-year-old kid tell me nothing about. I've been around this business since I was 7 years old. You're not going to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm off my soapbox for that. Let's move on to a Raw Underground. Something that I thought, and along with the 24/7 title, that I thought WWE dropped the ball with was the Raw Underground thing.
Yeah, I was gonna like the last thing on the cross thing. Well, honestly, Scarlett, because I care way more about her, to be honest. It's like if Endeavor does go to 14, they need to make Scarlett a modern day Sunny. Because I was gonna say Sable.
Sure.
In my opinion, she had Sable. See, the thing is with Sable is that she didn't have the best charisma in my skills. So that's why I say Sunny, because Sunny, in my opinion, was the overall package. She had my skills. She had she had charisma. She can be the sex appeal. She can be a manager. She can be commentating, backstage announcer. I feel like Scarlett could do that very good, and she
could.
And she better than Sunny. Peak Sunny.
In a non-Stephanie McMahon run WWE, yes, she can do it. If Stephanie see her, it's over. She's going to bury her just like Mandy Rose. God forbid she glanced at Triple H because Marty Bell got fired for glancing at Triple H. They're not going to tell you that. Once again, I'm going to give you the real. And I'm quite cool with Marty Bell, too. I know Marty Bell. She's a good friend of mine. But she got fired for looking at Triple H in a way that she was saying, thank you for the opportunity at the Mae Young. Stephanie, because she's a roided up HGH gorilla, misinterpreted you looking at my husband. She fired her that night. I can prove it. So as long as she stay away from Stephanie, yes, she's going to be fine.
Didn't that happen with Christy? Like I heard rumors of Christy Hemme and Triple H was like they was getting known back then. Is that true?
Well, I heard about it. Now ask yourself this. Why was Christy Hemme paid out by Vince McMahon in that lawsuit? That tells you everything you need to know right there. I'll just leave it at that. That tells you everything you need to know. But yeah, I agree with you. Scarlett and Cross can be used a certain way and all that type of stuff. They should be used way better. Conan is a reason he put them together in Mexico. He said he saw them on the beach and they looked like Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, and that's why he used them in Mexico, built them up, let Cross go to Impact, and then Cross got recruited. Surprisingly, he was a guy that Triple H actually kind of liked. I'm a bit surprised about that. However, he's been grossly misused. You got him working against Drew McIntyre. I don't care how hard hitting you perceive this match. He's not making money with Drew McIntyre. It's not
problem with how they booking like Scarlett is like, why are they having her do like this little like spooky stuff? It's like why like I can't like yes I understand they PG, but why can't they take some aspects like why can't that be like the 1, 2? You know how back in the day like on PG shows you like yeah fairly, but you still have that edgy character. Like, oh, why can't that be Scarlett? Why can't she do her? I understand it's the S shape. And well, I mean, but like
you asking rational questions, and WWE don't have rational writers, Omari. I agree with a lot of stuff you're saying, but this goes back to the nucleus. WWE writers are awful because they were hired to fill quotas, not for their skill level.
If Impact can book a small show Scarlett Bordeaux, and how can the writers, even though they suck, is better than the writers, why can't WWE do it? Small show Scarlett on WWE is money. It would be the highest woman we had in wrestling in years.
All we could do is hold out hope. That's all we can do is hold out hope with Endeavor. I got my suspicion about Endeavor because by Endeavor owning UFC, I think they're going to make WWE. It's going to have the big names. Like you're going to see the Jake Pauls come in, the McGregors. They're going to have big name. Ronda is going to be better. It's going to be some MMA crossovers. You're going to see that and more celebrities. However, I think it's going to be presented like SmackDown where they just take the show too serious, where people got these work rate matches. They might be shorter, but I think they're going to try to make it a sports presentation, which is a lateral move. That's not really it's going to be more watchable, but that's not what wrestling should be. Wrestling is an action crash TV show. It's not supposed. You can have elements of athleticism and wrestling. You always had Ken Shamrock and the Dan whatever that dude name was with the gray sweaty shirt, the MMA dude. You can have people like that that's involved in your show. What's that?
Oh, I was saying Dan the Beast Severn.
Yeah, Dan Severn. You can have people like that, but your whole show shouldn't be based off that because that defeats the purpose of watching MMA. Most people know wrestling isn't real. They're not going to take it serious, especially when you're under the same umbrella as UFC. That's dumb. So make it be an action crash TV show with superstars and elements of fighting. That's what it should be. Well, go ahead, Omar.
I said I bet Vince McMahon in the back is playing. Let's bring back Brawl for All, pal.
He probably, and if they do a Brawl for All now, if they do it right, I'll watch it. If you got people like Riddle, you put Strowman up in there, Brock, Lashley, you put cats like that up there, I'll watch it. It depends on how it's presented. Like, I didn't dislike Brawl for All as much as people did. It could have been presented a little better, but it was okay for what it was. I mean, it ended when it needed. It got Bart Gunn over. I mean, he got knocked out by Butterbean, but at least he was on WrestleMania. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. He got paid for it. So it was better than a lot of people perceive. Dr. Death was too old. He was not going to make money with Austin. I don't even know why they thought he was going to win. With people like Godfather and JBL in there, and Steve Blackman got out of the tournament because he was like, so, okay, we could do anything to win this $75,000. So if I take somebody's legs out, that's legal, right? And they was like, well, don't take nobody's legs. He's like, well, I'm not going to enter the tournament. So he got himself out of because he didn't want to hurt nobody. And Steve Blackman was a bad boy for real. To this day, he's a bail bondsman. That tells you how bad he is. He was but that karate stuff was real. He was the real deal. Well, so much so, a quick story. Big Show was standing over him. Steve Blackman was laying backstage on the floor for some reason in the locker room. And Big Show kept standing over him, playing around like drinking a bottle of water or something. And Blackman was like, bro, could you stop standing over me like that? Keep in mind, this is the Big Show, not some clown. This is the Big Show, who's a tough guy himself. He told him to stop standing over him. Steve Blackman wrapped his legs around him and took Big Show down. And stood over, and I'm pretty sure he made a fist and was like, with this skin in here, or I can punch you in the face. What you want to do? Big Show cowered away from Steve Blackman. That shows you how bad that man was. So imagine if he was in that Brawl for All free, he would have won. Because he would have did anything to get that $75,000, as he should have, because it's a competition. But he got out, he was like, I don't even want to hurt nobody. But he would have won if he was in it. So speaking of which, that's what Raw Underground was supposed to be. And I honestly think that was a good utilization of somebody like Dabba Kato, who goes by Commander Aziz now. The problem with this was you had SJWs like Medusa, who shouldn't be talking about anything because you're not relevant anymore, and Lance Storm, who isn't relevant anymore, taking the go-go dance out of the cage, talking about, oh, we should have men in there. First of all, wrestling is a show that can cater towards males. Why would you want males in the cages?
Yeah, exactly. Like, that whole stanky pussy ass. Like, bro,
this is why these women shouldn't have microphones. People like her shouldn't have a platform because she says dumb stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah, bro. Like, she ain't relevant, bro. Like, bro, which is crazy. Like, why? Like, listen. Like, it just blows my mind. Like they can push this SJW stuff, but look at what's popular now. Like, I mean, at least like porn. Like these younger guys, like people my age, porn. No, that's popular. Why? Like
nobody would get. They will be flaccid looking at Medusa. Nobody's getting hard looking at her.
No, I'm not talking about Medusa. I'm talking about like why are they listening to people like this? Why isn't there hot women on TV? Honestly, to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind if like a really hot. If they had like a really like one of these hot NXT babes coming, like they had them look naked on TV. I wouldn't mind that, honestly.
Or at least having them being like a ring girl. Like some of these women should only be ring girls. Like Kiana Jay's ring her assistant. Or like a Scarlett Bordeaux, even though she could do more than that. You should have them as ring girls dressed as Skippy. A Maria Kanellis, who's got charisma. Girls like that. You know, even though I'm trying to think of somebody kind of young that they got around right now. That I can't think of them, but it's several people. The problem is they try to make women into all wrestlers. Why can't they be a valet? Why can't they be managers? It's things for them to do. They could be referees. Stop trying to make all them botch in the ring. Who wants to see that? And then, oh my God, it's too many women's wrestling. Man. They got tag belts. They were talking about bringing in an Intercontinental title for the women. Thank God that did not make it past the idea table because that would have been all. They likely would have put it on Bailey. Oh, George Gandolfini. They would motherfuck all. They would have put it on her probably, and it would have been awful. But yeah, ding dong, hello. And they got the hot, extremely hot Chelsea Green, a hot Canadian woman since Trish Stratus, playing a Karen. That character, even though she's doing a good job at it, that character was designed for Bailey. Let's be honest. That ding dong, hello crap, that should have been for Bailey. The Karen character, making fun of people that's calling her ugly, that's for Bailey, not for Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green is hot. She should be doing something else. I'm sorry, go ahead, Omer.
Yeah, like, what was I going to say? Fuck. What was I going to say? Oh, shit.
Did you see that stuff she was doing? OSJ. Oh, you don't watch it. You know who Chelsea Green is? OSJ.
With her.
I'm sorry. Say it again. You cut out. Jason.
Right? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I said, do you know who Chelsea Green is?
Yeah.
Yeah. You see how hot that woman is?
Yeah, I heard of it.
They have her playing a Karen character on TV right now. She's with Carmella, which is a great duo, but they shouldn't be Karens though. That Karen stuff should have been damage control. That's what it should have been. Or I should I don't call them damage control, causing damage. Which thank God Vince is talking about taking them off TV, and Bailey was talking about quitting. Don't let and Oscar, which was a bit of surprise, was talking about quitting. Oscar, you're older. You did everything you could do in WWE. We appreciate you, but if you want to leave, leave. I'd rather some of these NXT women get caught up. These fresher women that are younger. Nothing against Oscar. I would love to see her in the Hall of Fame or something. She's been great. Let her, if she wants to go to Japan, be with her family and rest, let her do that. She's had a great run in WWE. If she wants to leave, that's fine. That's more. Get rid of Natalya too, please. She wants to turn herself into a bull-faced cat lady. I don't understand why. But Natalya, please stop doing stuff to your face. Please stop. She used to be cute.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I say she needs to retire big time.
Natalya?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, Natalya, she's watching
her and Tamina. Yeah, get rid of Tamina while you're at it.
Yeah, Tamina, her leg's been bad for so long, and I appreciate what she's done, but Tamina's been bad. She's old, too. Tamina's like 45, or she's old. Baszler is the only one that's kind of old that should get away because she still can fight. But, dude, please get rid of these women and make fresh start for, like, why is Gigi Dolan them not on the main roster? Why is Lash Legend not on the main roster? Why is Cora Jade, even though they might, some of these people, I get that they want to put the NXT World title on them first, but these women that you're not using, why is Indy Hartwell not with Dexter Lumis? They had a good little thing on NXT. Bring that to the main roster. Indy Hartwell's hot too, by the way. She's not as hot as like the people with your name, but she's pretty hot. That's what they need to be doing.
Well, I was going to say this though, is that like that you was talking about, like they make every woman a wrestler. It's like, and then like these marks, man, you try to tell them, it's like they think every woman's wrestler should be. They think every woman in wrestling should be a wrestler. They think that's how you remember. It's like, no,
you gotta respect their work rate. That's the crazy.
As like Miss Elizabeth is still more known when you talk to a casual audience. Miss Elizabeth is still more known than most.
Sherry Martel too.
Sherry Martel, even combined. Like I'm not even just talking about women wrestler at this point. I'm talking about the men. Sherry and Miss Elizabeth. Miss Elizabeth, especially since she was with Macho Man and Randy Savage, top, one of the greatest of all time. I mean, you talk to someone, especially if they're like their 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Elizabeth is more known than Roman Reigns. That's a fact.
Yeah, she is. I'm pretty sure because she's with Savage. Yeah, of course she is.
Yeah, like you talk like. No.
She's more. I'm gonna take what you said one step further. She's more known than everybody in Roman Reigns' family, other than The Rock, just because that's how star power she was. All of them were like leeching off The Rock for the most part, except the Usos. But yeah.
She's more known than everybody in wrestling today, out of Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, and Edge, and that's more so because of the RKO.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. Raw Underground, they should have had those hot chicks in the cages. They should have had. It should have been built around seasons. They should have had it where maybe the Hurt Business was the final bosses in the first season. Then you could have built the season around Braun Strowman. You could have did one with Dabba-Kato. And then you could have spent it and add a woman. Now you got to beat Shayna Baszler. You got to be Ronda Rousey. If they would have made it like 6 to 8 week blocks where it wasn't happening all the time, where it was blending with the Western Raw and you weren't getting tired of it, it should have been a special attraction. You should have had 6 to 8 weeks where the final bosses were the people I just named. Raw Underground would have survived. It was a great idea. And by the way, Shane McMahon and Vince Russo came up with that idea. Vince Russo was a consultant for the USA Network, and I got his permission to say this because I asked him. He was a consultant for the USA Network for 3 years, from 2019 to 2021, and the idea was him and Shane McMahon. And even if they didn't tell me that, I would have guessed because this was a Vince Russo-looking thing. And they screwed it up because this is what they do, because they want to prove that their crappy ideas are right. I've never met a company so destined to put themselves out of business like current WWE. It is asinine. It's people in Africa that is starving that can use the money that WWE wastes with crap like Bronson Reed and Johnny Gargano and goddamn Candice LeRae. Are you kidding me? I've never met a company that wants to lose so much money as much as WWE. You could be doing so much better. You took the 24/7 title off TV when it was the highest rated segment during the pandemic. What type of crack do y'all smoke?
They be smoking that Reggie.
I do not understand how these
they
people's
be
brains
drinking with
work.
them funny cigarettes.
They're like doing Otis crackhead drugs. I don't even know what y'all doing. It frustrates me because I hate people that waste money. What's that?
That shit Big Worm doing smoking on Friday.
Oh yeah, he was doing that when Chris Tucker was shaking when he thought something was on him when he had the tank top. That's what they off. There's no logical explanation for this nonsense.
They be on that shit. Craig was smoking in Nash Friday.
They own all the dope. They own the New Jack City dope. They own everything. They doing alligator. They doing whatever Vince McMahon was doing when he lined his mustache up. Because Vince McMahon mustache is leaning. I don't know who they lined you up with a credit card, dude. I don't know what they did to you, man. They
on that black 80. They on that cocaine. The FBI was funding the black people.
Yeah, exactly. They on the CIA coke. Is that fair? Do you think that's a fair assessment, OSJ, that they could have made Raw Underground like seasons and they had people to beat at the end? I think that was the best way to make it fun. Maybe you think differently. What do you think they could have worked if they would have did something like that?
Yeah, honestly, I think it was a good concept. You could have made the third hour edgier. You could have featured Raw Underground more. And yeah, I think they could have played it off of seasons. Have a build up to it, have a conclusion, and then bring it back maybe,
every
another
3 months
season later or something like that.
Yeah,
every 3 months. Yeah. They should have did that, but WWE doing what WWE does, they dropped the ball.
And I tweeted this out to Jordan earlier, almost. I tweeted this out to him earlier, and I love one of the most, it was like just random and unassuming. When Shane McMahon asked him, "Are you ready for this?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm ready." And then Shane looked at him and was like, "You speak English?" He said, "Yeah." He was like, "I didn't know that." He was like, "Because you didn't ask." That was one of the most unintentional, funny things that was written into that script. Because Shane does not get enough credit. He's in good shape. Well, other than him blowing his knees out at WrestleMania or whatever it was, his quads. He's always ready. He's always full of fresh ideas. And ironically, Vince does not like him. And he liked his talentless, brain-dead daughter, Stephanie, for some reason. Shane branched out. He made YouTube relevant in China with all this different media stuff. He links up with smart people like Vince Russo and Raven. Why do you not like your son for being successful? Your daughter has been living off your tree forever. Her and her wife, Triple H, that's not her husband, that's her wife, because she wears the pants, apparently. Why do you justify this stuff? Just like Seth Rollins' wife or husband is Becky Lynch. He's the wife. He wears that goofy out. Didn't he wear pink at WrestleMania? Like pink tights or something? Something stupid like that.
He was wearing
take him serious.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Look, he was wearing that shit. The pimp off Next Friday, he came in looking like that. He was in that pink suit.
Pinky. Yeah. He got the pinky shit up. Pinky, nigga! It's Rollins, nigga! That's what he came out saying. Like, what you need to do with a goofball like it, I swear, OSJ, I think it's going to come a day, right? And Triple H is going to make this. He's going to go out of his way. This is going to be his bucket list to do one final, just unfixable thing to WWE. I swear to God, it's going to be a live pegging of the ring. Either Triple H going to get pegged by Becky Lynch or Seth Rollins. They're going to get pegged by Becky Lynch by the end of this Raw, before Raw gets set, because Triple H has to ruin this show. It's going to be, they're going to get Becky Lynch going to beat both of them clean in the ring or something like that. He's going she's going to beat one of them clean. I guarantee you it's going to happen, because Triple H is an idiot. What's that, Omar?
About them Raw Underground, I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, but those the dancers in Raw Underground, I heard those were actual strippers. Is that true?
I didn't know that. I mean, it'd be awesome if it was. I never knew much about them. I know the girls that was Lashley at the time when he was coming out with the belt, when he had the girls, they were actually contracted performers by WWE. The only reason they got taken off TV because of COVID, and they want to cut costs for COVID. But those big ups to the girl, they got airtime. A lot of them women were hot too. Like one or two of them.
Yeah, I saw
that was cool. It made them look legit. It made the Hurt Business look legit.
Yeah, I saw like an article. I saw articles of people saying that the go-go dancers on Raw Underground were legit strippers.
They probably got them from Godfather. I would not be surprised if they got them from Godfather's service at the time. That would be. But the Cuck, Lance Storm, Flat Top Jack got them taken off TV. And this is to this day why I just don't like. And I know my other homie, Jason West, that's usually on here with me. He likes Lance Storm because he's a good technician. I get all that. But boy, he's ruined wrestling by putting Sami Zayn on TV, by turning the Iconics into SJW. Because I used to love the Iconics, specifically Peyton Royce. He turned into a whiny crybaby SJW, and all of them were trained by Lance Storm. And then he got the go-go dancer. So Lance Storm, I hope you have a miserable day because you're an idiot. And then he actually went out there and said Sami Zayn should be WWE champion. This was back when Sami Zayn was getting put in dumpsters by Braun Strowman in like 2017. This is around that time. He thought that version of Sami Zayn should have been WWE champion. That shows you that Lance Storm been huffing glue or something like that. He been in like Area 51 because his brain does not work at all. I don't know what type of he was smoking that pipe that Vince then was just on. When whatever barber Vince was with that crack Vince barber smoked, that's what he was smoking. Because if he actually thought that, he was on drugs.
He was smoking that shit, he was smoking that shit. And in fact, he's smoking that shit. Big Pun is Fat Joe used to smoke back in the day in New York.
He was off that angel dust. Let's wrap it up one quick time, y'all. We only gonna do run round this time because we went a little long. Well, I want to say this before I get to our quick game because I always like to end with a game. Like I said, this is it, y'all. We go like Michael Jackson's tour before he died. This is it. I'm taking a break from wrestling, dude. You still gonna see me with these guys with JoJo. We'll talk MMA. We'll talk music, pop, whatever. We'll talk anything but I'll watch paint dry on the wall before I talk about this shit again. It's gonna be a while. And that's why I want to do a big one. Get them on here. We're going to get JoJo on here to do some MMA. We're going to talk about everybody. I have to take a break from WWE until about probably July or August or something. I'm about to enjoy it. It's been warm in Chicago all week. We got good weather. I refuse to be stressed out about this. After I saw Cody Rhodes come back with Raw, first of all, I didn't want to see Cody Rhodes, period. But when I saw that he came back and didn't sell Brock injury, I knew I was down. I was like, yep. That's when I decided. That's why I didn't do a show yesterday. I had to think about doing this one. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do one little less show because I want to show respect to people like Cross, people like Knight, people like Oma that's been putting in work, and others that I haven't mentioned that's been working. Baron Corbin, JB, that's been trying to make this runny diarrhea of a show actually work. Try to make this diarrhea taste like chocolate. They've tried, but idiots like Triple H will not get out the way. He keep putting his nose in everything. His big-ass nose is always in the way. Huffing snot, huffing out these jobber wrestlers, flooding the roster with this crap. And we were speaking about wrestlers not getting a reaction. Bronson Reed got rehired for like an absurd amount of money. He was in a live crowd like a month ago. No reaction. Triple H should have been thrown in a damn oven for that idiotic decision.
Yo, bro, Braun Breaker just came out like the biggest badass. Like,
when he beat up and I like Carmelo Hayes, by the way.
No, I'm telling it's a new video. He beat the shit out of Chase U. He went like, honestly,
oh wow,
like honestly, they can do good. Like Braun Breaker. In my opinion,
Breaker's going to be good once all this heat. He got to let the heat slow down a little bit with the stuff with the trans person or whatever. He had to let that slow down a little bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of liking heel Braun Breaker. I
knew he was going to be heel eventually, but the thing with Giselle Shaw sped it up a little bit. And like, bro, people are going to forget this in 3 months. He'll be fine. It just needs to dial. Just like Vince, they forgot about that, and they were saying you're not worthy when he came back at that first Raw. Like, come on, dude. But man, God bless all these wrestlers though. What's that?
I think Braun should be. Do not book Braun Breaker as a Hogan Super Cena type face.
I don't think they will.
He's
gonna be NXT for a while.
True, but I'm talking about when he comes to the main roster, he needs to be an anti-hero. Because if you do that Hogan type face, you're gonna get him booed because these smarts don't like that. And
I hate to say it, Omari. At this point, I'd rather him stay in NXT because he gonna go up to the main roster and get beat by Bronson Reed or Johnny Gargano. I would rather him stay in NXT at this point. And then, he can't escape Gargano because Gargano in NXT too. You can't escape it. He's like a nightmare he's like dirty underwear that you can't wash. You cannot get rid of this dude. He just pops up like, dude, go. He's like that bug you can't kill at your house. He just won't go away. He's always popping up everywhere.
Johnny Gargano's like the roaches at the dirty apartments that they just always popping up in your plate.
You just got to get the place just bombed of this dude. Like you just got to. Matter of fact, you got to burn the house down and move. You just can't even. You can't do nothing with this man.
Now you can get pest control. Like to get him away and get that pest control. That's the only way it's gonna work.
Okay, let's play a quick game. Male and female. We're just gonna do this. Gonna be quick fire round, and we're gonna get out of here. A minute and a half, 2 minutes. Quick fire round. Matter of fact, I got to bring up the roster for this. I'm going to try to put some people off the top of my head. And we're going to say fire or relocate. Because we got to get this roster down to size. It is too many people on this goddamn roster, and I got it up quickly. Okay, real quick. Bianca Belair, fire or relocate, or keep. We could do fire, relocate, keep. Both of y'all can say. Bianca Belair, fire, relocate, or keep. What we doing with her?
Keep.
I'll keep her, too. What you doing, Omar?
Keep her big booty ass. Huh?
She's gorgeous, too. Austin Theory. No, hold on. I skipped somebody.
She give me Parker vibes. Hi, Miss Parker.
Exactly. Gunther, I'm firing this motherfucker.
Relocate. I'll relocate him. I mean, Gunther could be a good mid carder, even a good upper mid carder. I think they need to work on his gimmick. I think he should go back to NXT.
I'll give you that one. What you think of OSJ?
I'll keep him. I got a little bit of respect for him for working on his his physical well-being and everything.
Sure.
Getting in shape. I got to give respect to that. So I'll keep him around. But as far as like a main event push, I don't want to see that. I ain't down with that.
Sure, fair enough. Sami Zayn's Kevin Owens relocate NXT, brother. They got to go to NXT, man.
Yeah, they got to go.
Yeah, I agree. Like they can stay, but go to NXT.
Yep.
Like this is what they need to do. They just need to place bring the young blood, the good young blood from NXT, put them on the main roster. With guys like Roman.
Sure.
We need fresh people in the main event. It is stale. At this point, it's more stale than the Super Cena Orton days, and I don't think I thought we would never pass them days, but we somehow have, and it's way worse.
Sure. Somebody that's really, really pushed badly. I'm getting a little tired of. I think she needs to either go to NXT or take a break. Liv Morgan. I'm a relocator and send her to NXT.
I'll relocate her. I think she can have good feud. She can relocate her. Have good feuds like Cora Jade before she comes up.
Sure. What you think, OSJ?
I say relocate her, because I see potential in her, but I don't know, something's just not clicking.
Sure. It seems a little bit overkill. I'm skipping all these NXT people because y'all all getting fired, with the exception of a couple people that I will name here. I'm keeping a super high Isla Dawn. I also like Alba Fire. She got a character now and she can work. But most of these NXT, Adam Pearce, you're fired. Out of there. AJ Styles, either give him a MAGA character because he's a conservative Christian in real life and he needs a heel run again, or get rid of him because he's done everything. I'm a little tired of AJ Styles. Unless he get that MAGA character, I'm firing AJ Styles.
I think he should retire. I mean, I think AJ,
at least give him a retirement. I'm not going to say fire, but retire.
I think he could be a good backstage. I think AJ Styles could be a good backstage coach because he's kind of in my opinion, the closest we have to a modern day Shawn Michaels, even though people want to say it's Seth Rollins. It's AJ Styles. He's the modern day. Closest to we have to a Shawn Michaels. Because
AJ Styles at least can talk on the mic. Seth Rollins is offensive to listen to. I would rather bang my head against the wall than listen to him. What do you think, OSJ, with who are we talking about? AJ Styles.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna say this real quick. There's two men that I feel should have one last run in the main event. AJ Styles is one of them. I feel like the other guy should be Bobby Lashley. Because I feel like these are the two guys that should be challenging Roman Reigns. These are the two guys that are left, in my opinion. I want to see them with one last title reign.
You agree? But they too worried. But they too busy, with Roman Reigns. They it's gonna be I'm gonna have grandkids before Roman Reigns loses.
You still gotta have challengers though. They still have to have challengers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree. But
those are the only two guys I could think of that are at a high caliber level that can challenge Roman still.
LA Knight too. I'll put LA Knight and Cross up there.
LA Knight too, yeah.
I'm gonna keep LA Knight. Let me talk to you.
Yeah, let me talk to you. Yeah. You know what will be the funniest thing ever? If he brought back the dummy segment, even if it got him fired. He pitched behind the stage to Vince, I want to do the dummy with the button he used to do in Impact, and come out there and bury Triple H, even if he gets fired. That'll be, I swear, that'll be so satisfying. Let me talk to you, dummy. So you don't know what a star look like? Let me show you one. Yeah, you gonna fire Gargano? No. Who want LA Knight? Yeah, even if he get fired, he needs to have a dummy segment with LA. Just embarrass Triple H. And if that was on the last SmackDown or Raw before they go over to Endeavor, it'd be so satisfying. Please have a dummy segment when make Triple H look stupid with LA Knight. Because I think LA Knight, the good thing about him, he's a professional, but I think he knows Triple H. He's very careful around Triple H, but I know he doesn't like him. Yeah. I would love to hear, once he's not under contract with WWE, what he thinks about Triple H. Because LA Knight's a smart, he's very similar to Cross. He's a team player. He's very cooperative, but I think he knows that he's being misused. I'm pretty sure he knows that.
Let me get an LA Knight rock segment. LA Knight. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you say yeah. That'll be awesome.
That'll be hilarious. Yeah, that would be awesome. Aaliyah, another gorgeous Middle Eastern woman. I mean, she fits the diversity bill that they're going for. Very talented, can do a lot of things, can act. Aaliyah will be promoted. She will probably be in the main event if it was left up to me. She's good. I like Aaliyah. What do y'all doing?
Keep Aaliyah. I will keep Aaliyah, but she needs to be like, it goes back to what we're talking about, where we don't have any more valets or like what is wrong? I don't understand what's wrong with like women being like commentators or valets stuff. I don't understand this. They gotta wrestle
right.
Like I said, Sunny didn't wrestle, and like I don't know, like I don't know any matches of Sunny that she's ever wrestled. Maybe that she did wrestle matches. I don't know. Every time I knew Sunny, it was either what she was doing on screen as a commentator, or as a valet, or it was her like screwing with Shawn in the 90s. That's the only thing. Just the stuff.
Sure.
But like, yeah, I think Aaliyah could be like that because she's really high. I think she needs to work on the personality.
I will put her with Jinder Mahal now.
I think she needs to be like a bitch character because she fits.
She'd be good at that. Yeah.
Be like a Kardashian type character where what a hotter version where she knows she's hot, but like she just annoys people.
Yeah.
She could be like a Kim Kardashian role. That'd be pretty cool.
I will say this about, and I agree with everything you said. I just scrolled past B-Fab. I would keep B-Fab but get rid of those other dudes. Top Flopper and the other knockoff detective looking dude or whatever he's supposed to be, the rapper. B-Fab is talented. And she also could be a manager. She can work on her wrestling a bit, but she's somebody I'll put up in that manager role, though. B-Fab is good. From Hit Row. Yeah, I'll put one. Let's do maybe like 2 more people because we'll have to do this another time. This roster is huge. I don't know if you could say The Fiend. I'm gonna just skip him. I'm done talking about Bray Wyatt to the point I have an aneurysm in my head. I don't even want to talk about Bray Wyatt no more. After I saw him get bitched by LA Knight, I was done with him after that. Not that that's a bad thing, but like, dude, come on. Elias, let's go with Elias, dude. You talking about the second coming of Macho Man Randy Savage, man. OSJ, what's causing all this, man? He will be probably the WWE champion if it was left up to me. What you think about Elias, man?
He's got a good gimmick. The only problem with him is like the look that he has. It's like there's too many of these guys now with long hair and beards and everything, and like I feel like that kind of hurts him in a way.
Sure.
And that's fair enough. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a good talent. I take nothing away from him. What separates him from them is he's actually got a character and he's got talent. And I think this guy, I'll give you this. I think Elias could be a solid intercontinental champion, similar to Honky Tonk Man.
Sure. Yeah, you get heat with the guitar, you hit people with it and stuff. Yeah, I agree. Can we all agree that Braun Strowman needs to return to fee, fi, fo, fum, flipping stuff over? Bro, take the nipple rings out, take off the skinny jeans, and flip cars over. Why are you not doing that?
I was gonna say something about that earlier. That Braun Strowman, you know how I said Enzo Amore was one of the last wrestlers I liked.
Yeah,
Braun Strowman is that too. Well, that version of Braun Strowman is like I'm gonna give you these hands when he was feuding with Roman and when he was like throwing Roman around. Like, that was good stuff. Like he was going wild. And
when he flipped Roman off the stage in that gurney, that was like an Attitude Era type moment. That's something Austin would have did to like Kane or something like that. That was a good moment. You know what I mean? They need to write stuff like that more often. Hold on, one sec, yeah.
My favorite one is when he came out I think Roman had injured him. Like they had like a match, an underrated match. They beat the tar out of each other. I forgot which pay-per-view it was, but it was like a match and they beat. It was like the old school Roots Aggression Attitude match. That match was awesome. And like I think Braun Strowman just came out like a G. Like Roman was in the match, he returned, and he like kicked down the ambulance, like the little.
Yeah. I remember all that. Yeah, it was good stuff. It was good TV.
That was like some Attitude or Roots Aggression era stuff.
Last but not least, well, a female, and then we're gonna talk about a GM that can come back. Let me check somebody real quick, just off the top of my head, because this roster is huge. Let's go ahead. Well, where are you going? Whatever you want to say, OSJ.
I was just gonna talk about, Omari. You were talking about how Randy Orton kind of lost that main event, or I would say the same thing about Braun Strowman.
He did.
I agree. They should.
He did because he had it in 2016 and all that, but he lost it. I want to say by maybe 2019ish or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, what they're stupid for not putting the title on him in 2017. They should have had him beat Brock. He was hot.
Yeah.
That's
Honestly,
or save it for WrestleMania 34.
Sure.
I agree. Like honestly, like even though he was a heel, he was getting pops. That
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you these hands. That was
Yeah. He got a shirt out of that. I know people that own that Get These Hands shirt. Like I know people that have that shirt.
That No Mercy
yeah, I agree
part
with
should
you.
have been saved for WrestleMania.
Instead of that lame Daniel Bryan storyline, yeah, it should have been Strowman because
Yeah.
we've been there, done that already. You know, Daniel Bryan could did that same storyline in NXT, and it would have been received the exact same way. But Elektra Lopez and Zelina Vega are two of the most hot, talented Spanish female performers, and the fact that Elektra Lopez was not called up with Legado del Fantasma is foolish because she walked, talked, and dressed like a star. Once again, her work rate could be worked on, but she's still young. She was in that segment when when Bobby Lashley and Lana had that lesbian wedding. She was the Spanish girl that was Elektra Lopez. So back then they knew she was a good on-screen presence. She was cute and she was pretty good on the mic. They even knew back then that she was a star, and that was before she was even on NXT. She needs to be on TV. Last but not least, let's why is Jonathan Coachman? Why doesn't Jonathan Coachman? Why is he not the general manager of Raw and SmackDown?
I don't think Jonathan Coachman cares about wrestling. I think he's just too focused on ESPN.
He is, but I will pay him so much to come. Omari, remember the days when not Omari, but OSJ. Remember back in the days when general managers actually had personality and they were an integral part of the show.
Yeah, I remember I grew up on Teddy Long.
Yeah, actually, see that's
the
what
good
I
thing
miss.
about.
I don't have a problem with authority figures.
No,
I'm
you
just
go
saying
ahead.
I didn't have a problem with authority figures. I think they could work if you got a guy with charisma.
I agree. And Coachman has charisma and he can sell. Now, I'm going to go back to what Omari said, where he probably just don't care no more. Because a lot of people after like 2008, they saw the direction Batista, people like Jonathan Coachman, they saw the direction WWE was going in. They knew it was getting away from sports entertainment. And I think Coach likes to perform. He's a performer, dude. He don't want to be this lame, sanitized general. Like, that's not for him. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to go to ESPN. And where I can actually shine and be the spotlight. I've talked to Coachman. I was close to interviewing him. We just couldn't set down a date because we had schedule conflicts. But I know Coachman. I've talked to him before.
I know Coachman is probably thinking about going somewhere else because ESPN has become that much worse.
Yeah, because a lot of these people don't want wrestling to be dumb. You know what I mean? That's why Batista left. He's like, this is not what we do. We don't get blood. We don't have cage matches. But to round this up, that's just everybody. Let's do a quick F, Mary, kill. Scarlett Bordeaux, Alexa Bliss, and I'm gonna make this one hard. Scarlett Bordeaux, Alexa Bliss, Mandy Rose, F, Mary, kill. I'm gonna make this hard for y'all. Then we're gonna get out of here. Whoever can go first, don't matter. I'll go right away. Mandy will be wifey. I had to probably kill Alexa Bliss. Sorry, Lexi, and I gotta marry. No, then again, Alexa got more money. But I might be happier with Scarlett seems cooler. Sorry, Alexa, I got to kill you. I'm a F Alexa Bliss, S Scarlett, and kill what's her name. Ottawa said he's leaving. Thank you for being here. Go ahead with who y'all was gonna say F Mary kill.
F Mary kill.
I got an F Scarlett, marry Mandy. Mandy is bae. I got to marry Mandy Rose, and she making $1 million for doing nothing, so that works. That's more money in our household.
Shit, that's not hard. Shit, that's hard.
If you ready, OSJ, you can go too.
Jason,
I'll go for it. Let's see. Probably marry Alexa.
Yep.
Cool. F Scarlett and
get rid of Mandy.
Mandy's too much of a thought. Like I don't know. Just kind of
okay, fair enough. I can respect that. Mandy's bae, but I can respect that though.
No, she hot. Don't get me wrong.
I can see what you mean by that though. I definitely know what you mean by that. Yeah, Scarlett and Mandy can be interchangeable. I'll marry either because Scarlett's cool. Top dog.
Well, so automatically I'm gonna kill / dump Alexa Bliss because yeah, she has money, but she's too much of she's one of those Disney adults, so she's too obsessed with it in there.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
it's like I understand being you going back and watching your old childhood stuff, but you adult so watching Disney. Like society review said it best.
And then it don't help that Disney is an evil satanic company. So yeah.
Yeah.
Even though they produce good content, but they're an evil company. I'm not gonna lie, they are.
Yeah.
Which if I did marry, I'd probably try to snap her out of that.
Yeah, you could try. Yeah, I would say if it don't work, get rid of her. That would be your best bet. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Well,
yeah,
no,
she
I'm
definitely
gonna be divorced.
This from us too.
exactly.
These people. That's right. It'd be hard.
Yeah. So we getting rid of Alexa, who we effing them and Mary.
It's hard.
Because both of them are hot. I mean, you can't go wrong either way. Yeah. Between Mandy and Scarlett Bordeaux. Now those are you talking about two. Scarlett is I got too much respect for them, and Liz is from Illinois. Elizabeth, that's Scarlett. Well, that's a real.
Yeah, shit, this is like asking like two versions of wrestling.
Hey, if it makes you happy, I'll let you marry both of them. I'll make a bit of rule and you can marry both of them. If you
it's
want.
like this is like the two. It's like asking like for the like two versions of Angelina Jolie for wrestling.
Sure.
Prime Angelina Jolie is fucking hot, but that's another side tip. But
speak loud into your device. You got a little bit of background noise. Top dog. It's really hard for this man. It is really hard for him, folks.
I'll say if you want to pick both, go for it. Because
you can pick both if you want to.
You got to relocate to Utah, but
who the hell lives in Utah?
Well, I was gonna say that kind of thing is allowed.
Oh, the Mormon thing. I got you. The polygamy. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
I'm pulling the Godfather, folks. I'm pulling the Godfather. I'm picking both. They're on the whole.
Hey, that works for me. And I'm looking at this NXT title and I'm so upset because Scarlett and Cross look great with that belt. They look. Victor even just chimed in. Mary Rose, F. Scarlett, Alexa. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. That was similar to what I said. You know, Lex is cute, but the body, man, the Scarlett and body's way more better. Scarlett's body is better than both of theirs. I just think Mandy is cuter.
Yeah, and the Disney stuff, where is it cutting?
Yeah, the Disney. Don't get me wrong, she's talented, but that Disney is satanic. Can we all? The last thing, I want 2 chances from everybody before we get going. I'm gonna be respectful. I was gonna call him a dummy, but I'm not gonna do it. Even though I said myself, Triple H a dummy, yeah, but they don't have to say it. The 2 things I want us to say before we leave is let me talk to you, and last but not least, you cannot teach that. Let's start off 1, 2, 3. Let me talk to you because this is the best show, and we just let them do what, y'all? Let me talk to you. And last but not least, this is a great podcast, and y'all need to tune in even though we're taking a break from wrestling because you can't what?
And
teach that.
You gotta do
that.
We gotta redo it.
Yeah, you can't teach what, Omari?
For no SAW, so we gotta do like this. It's SAWFT.
Oh, yeah, and we out, y'all. Thank y'all, Omari. Woo. Thank you, Jason. As always, we're gonna have something cool. We'll be back tomorrow. We just won't be talking about wrestling. We're gonna be talking about pretty much anything else happening in the world but wrestling. So we'll be back tomorrow. More open forum show. I'll be with y'all. Bless y'all families, and yeah, I'll talk to y'all. I'm rich, bitch. Later.